or the focus is on the future of digital payment technology for Nigeria and, perhaps Africa as well, right? The battle between cash and cashless is often the barometer through which, we measure our industry, and how we've performed. The less cashless, transactions, obviously then maybe we're not doing that as well, but the more cashless transactions and the less cash is relied on, then obviously it means that we're doing something right. Across the world, innovation is on the rise, riding on the wheels of technology. And we all know that whenever there's technological advancement, economic advancement, soon follows. Africa is no exception as it tries to keep pace with, global trends. Cashless is projected to increase rapidly and doubling by 2030. And obviously, this is the outcome of many different things that, happen globally, increase in technology and obviously, regulation and other things that are being put in place by national governments. Although in Africa, cash is still regarded as king and being supreme, a survey carried out by McKinsey stated that there's a possibility that, that supremacy will be challenged in the coming years. There's a report by the GSMA that says in sub-Saharan African nations accounted for the largest share of mobile money transactions valued at $1 trillion. And 70% of that, naturally, 70% of that digital, payment to mobile money naturally, obviously happened on the mobile phone. All right. The continent's digital payment market is expected to see a year-on-year growth of over 20%. Globally, digital payment revenue is projected to grow at 7%, globally as well. So now let's take a look at some of the technologies, or I'd like to call them transformational technologies that are driving the future, including the future of payments, right? Some, technologies like Web3, blockchain and DLT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, augmented reality, cloud and edge computing, quantum computing, digital ID, 5G and the Internet of Things connectivity, digital and/or, as many of us would, describe it, cryptocurrencies, right? These are all transformational technologies because they enable new business models, right? Or disrupt existing ones. I'm sure several of the ones that I have mentioned, of these technologies I mentioned just now, affect our lives in one, way or the other, especially in the payment space, right? And clearly they drive innovation and drive the trends. So now let's spare a moment to think about what trends specifically these new technologies are enabling and are driving. One big trend, obviously, is that customer expectations are changing and businesses have to adapt. Recent COVID and lockdowns drove rapid digitization, right? During lockdowns within Africa and, Nigeria, when it was difficult for people to move around and, mandatory stay-at-homes where e-commerce was on the rise, or they had to, catch up rapidly. All of us had to change rapidly. We all had to work from home, figure out ways to work from home, or the majority of us had to. And the way we conducted our day-to-day lives also changed. And guess what? Post-pandemic, people haven't really reverted. So there's a change, and as a business, you need to be in tune with that change. Other things, obviously, riding on the back of that is buy now, pay later, BNPL. Is big business, right? Or as we like to describe it here, pay small, small. You buy something and you pay small, small. The technologies to drive that are now in place. Technologies to score an individual in real time when he wants to make that purchase are in place. And then, you can offer a credit facility to that customer to make a purchase. The acceleration of connected commerce or embedded finance. The concept or idea that for you to interact with, financial institutions or your, financial tools or instruments, or interact with your money, to put it simply, you don't always have to go to your bank or be within your banking app. More and more you see, other non-traditional, financial institutions offering, finance and offering finance services within, their own sphere. So obviously there's a blurring of the lines, and embedded finance is driving that. Digital currencies, obviously, I mean, we all know very well the rise of cryptocurrencies within Nigeria. The launch of the CBDC, the e-naira, digital wallets, obviously as well. If you think of the data of the mobile phone data that I mentioned earlier and the penetration in Africa, Africa is one of the most deeply penetrated markets in terms of mobile phone adoption and connectivity via the mobile phone. Then it's no surprise that clearly the mobile wallets is a trend for the future, and then obviously cross-border payments as well, as markets continue to collaborate and, as trade continues to happen between markets, cross-border becomes more important, especially when you consider, things like the AFTA, the African Free Trade Agreement. Obviously, that has to be carried through. Technology needs to be provided. That's a piece of legislation or a framework that's been put in place, but obviously now technology has to, help drive that through. And a lot of the things that I mentioned earlier will help. And there'll be a huge focus on cross-border, of course. So to us, it's therefore clear that businesses that are striving to stay ahead of the competitive landscape will need to adopt the latest trends in digital payments. Customers are increasingly succumbing to the appeal of these trendy payment methods, and the failure to include these innovative payment technologies that keep up with consumer demands will impact, sales, and the business can end up falling behind if you don't stay up to breast with these things. Having featured as a major player in the financial services landscape for the past 20 years, Interswitch remains at the heart of rapid digital payments evolution, being observed in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, fostering growth through the development and introduction of innovative products and services that ensure payments are a seamless part of everyday life. There is still a lot of opportunity, for growth. I mean, e-commerce is only 8% of all of commerce today. So as rapidly as we see, as popular as web payments are, it only represents 8%. Huge opportunities for growth, and it's growing at a CAGR of 23% year on year, right? So there are huge opportunities for the future. There are a number of transformational technologies that are driving the future. Let's make the future together. Thank you.
All right, can you put your hands together for Babatunde Okufi? You can make it louder, please. There's something that he said there, and it was that we can drive the future together. Do you believe that? We can drive the future together, and that's my confidence in how we're going and how far we're going in the industry and within this tech space that we are all talking about. Where we play in is together that we're going to get there. There's so many ideas out there. There's so many innovative ideas out there that we can all bring together and throw out there. We spoke about Web3, blockchain. It's been a big topic, Just today, I got to know that somebody's focusing on fraud on blockchain and how we can use blockchain to combat fraud. I don't need to reinvent the wheel any longer. All I need to do is just connect with that person and add it to what I'm doing currently. And that is why we're here together today, to collaborate and accelerate growth and profitability within our industry. So let's put our heads together once again for Babatunde Okufi. And thank you very much for that insightful speech. Okay, so the next on our agenda, because the conversation has started, thank you. I'll be calling on the first speaker for today, and he's going to be talking around organizing the microfinance economy. Do we have microfinance banks? Any representative of microfinance banks here? Even though we don't have, I've realized that most fintechs now are even expanding to that level and running, getting microfinance licenses and even running the business in that direction. So the person that will be taking this first presentation, my friend, I call him Basamta. He's known as the group head of mobile financial service at Interswitch, Waju Adelawa Basamta. Put your hands together for him, please. a profound orator, distinguished writer. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Nicholson. Good morning, everyone. I'm trusting that you can at least hear me. Good morning. Yeah, I actually think Tunde's job was much easier. You can see him strolling, strolling just out of the room. Thank you again for joining us. Okay, this is the part where I pause and they make me up. I'm kidding, of course. Okay. Okay. Am I supposed to come to that side? I'm supposed to. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to assume that I just walked off stage. Good morning again, everyone. Hope you're having a nice time with us, right? So I was saying that, today's job is a bit easy. He just needed to speak with his sonorous voice and read out some address. For me, I'm supposed to provide some bit of background for the conversation we'll be having today. And I hope that I make some bit of sense, provide some bit of background, such that the conversation we're having makes sense. Just as I was saying before, we had to move what's it called now? This thing, the podium. God bless. We really are thrilled to have you. And very much like Tunde said, it's our honor really to have you honor our invite. I know that sounds like a mouthful. So I'm supposed to talk about organizing the Nigerian microfinancing economy. And in particular, there's a reason why we've come up with this focal topic. Today, not only are we hosting you because we're partners, the focus of the event primarily is to drive value and growth in the Nigerian microfinance and fintech space. Incidentally, we've gone around the country. We've had this event in the different geopolitical zones, as is often called. But this perhaps is the crowning event of all the events we've held. And today in particular, we're starting with a conversation rather than a presentation because we believe that together we can win. And very much like Tunde said, we're hopeful that today's event is going to help us achieve that. I'm going to start, like I said, it's not an address. It's more like a conversation starter. I'm going to start with some bit of background. It's interesting because I'm supposed to be talking to you about an industry that we all occupy. We all work in. So, I don't think I'll be throwing to you too much information or too much new information. But please, just give me your attention. I have about 10 or thereabout minutes, and I'm supposed to tell a story, right? So what's the microfinance industry? What's the microfinance economy? I should confess that I was giving notes. So I'm just going to speak some bit from the notes and then speak from my head. So what's the economy? The whole idea about microfinance as an industry started in the 70s. That's about 50 years ago. When I saw that start, it was compelling. And it started in Asia, Southeast Asia, in Bangladesh. Interestingly, many developing countries saw that the whole idea of a microfinance economy was big because it picked up like rapid fire in Bangladesh, and then many other growing economies in Africa and other Asian countries picked it up. In Nigeria, we took about 35 or so years before we jumped into it. And it was in 2005, I think about 17 years ago or so, that the industry took shape. Of course, we know that the Nigerian financial banking industry is quite well structured under the administration or under the regulation of the CBN. But in Nigeria, microfinancing as a subset of Nigerian banking industry was structured in 2005. What is it structured around? When the CBN started this experiment, there was a licensing structure, a licensing model that tiered the different microfinance banks, tiered their scope, tiered their size, and tiered their structure. And so within the Nigerian microfinance industry, of course, we're aware we have, it's like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, we have national microfinance banks, some of which are in the room. At least I think I've seen one or thereabout. Of course, we have just beneath the national microfinance banks, we have the state microfinance. I know there's typically no structure or no license for regional microfinance banks, but I suspect many of you know one or two regional microfinance banks. So below the national microfinance banks, you have the regional, you have the states, and then you have the unit. It's interesting because today in Nigeria, we have about 1,000 microfinance banks. I mean, that is monumental. Within the Nigerian banking space, I think commercial banks are about 30, plus or minus. But compare that number to 1,000 in the microfinance industry, then we all know, or we have to admit, that the microfinance segment is a force to reckon with. Now, so what we've seen is that with this monumental group of banks, what are they focused on? The whole idea of microfinancing is to provide finance, really, to what we call economic agents in the hinterland. I mean, up until 2016, for example, the number of included Nigerians were less than 40 million. I mean, we typically hear Nigeria says this is a country of 200 million people, and of these 200 million people, perhaps maybe 80 million of us are economic citizens, meaning people who work and people who should pay or be paid. It was scary when the BVN was implemented in about 2015 and 2016, and we realized that we didn't have up to 40 million unique accounts. I mean, many people had multiple accounts, but we didn't have up until 2015. Today is much bigger. I think we have more than 50 or so, 60 million, but there's still a wide gap of people that are financially excluded, people that are unbanked, many others that are underbanked. So the whole idea of microfinancing is to provide finance to economic agents who will thereafter provide the facilitation and the galvanization that our economy needs. We must admit that for the last 17 years, we've seen quite a lot of progress. We've seen a lot of financing in the hinterland. We've seen a lot of inclusion. We've seen quite a lot of deposit mobilization. We've seen a lot of lending. And we are seeing quite a lot of progress in the space that would have only been imagined more than 17 years ago. However, microfinancing is not without its challenges. I mean, everything in life, everything, even this event, we started just a bit after the scheduled time. So, I mean, life comes with challenges. And in the same breath, I mean, microfinance in Nigeria, of course, has its own challenges. I mean, some of the challenges that we see today is the fact that as much as we're penetrating the hinterland, we're not penetrating at the pace that we think we should be penetrating. Okay, that is one. Many microfinance don't have access to technology, access to data to be able to provide critical services like lending and savings. We find that because of the non-asset-based collateral services that they have to offer, there's quite a lot of exposures in the industry that they're not able to support. And of course, there are quite a few. There's not a lot of funds for them to acquire the best tools. They don't have all the best minds. I mean, some of the best minds in the industry, they're not able to afford because their margins are thinner. So what are the opportunities that we see? I mean, why are we having this conversation? Why are we not bringing all the banks in the industry? Why are we focused? Why did we design this event around our microfinance and fintech partners? It's because we see quite some bit of opportunity. I'll pause a moment and please focus your mind on the subject of the theme. I said this in Abuja last week, that when we're crafting this event, we know that growth, accelerating growth, is not something that is just desirable. I mean, we look at the state of the economy. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, inflation was recorded at 22%. I mean, we all were worried just a couple of weeks ago when the Naira was redesigned, that Naira was going to be 1,000 to $1. We know what the interest rate is today. I mean, the economy is not in the greatest shape. And for many organizations, including financial institutions and fintech in the room, right? Growth is not just desirable, it's an existential reality. I mean, for many of us, even if you grew 10, 15%, you have still not met the threshold for profit. So when we put together this event, the whole idea is the threshold for profit. So when we put together this event, the whole idea is we're seeing some bit of opportunity in the industry, in the segment, that we believe we can work together to win. So what are the opportunities we are seeing? Bringing you back to the focus of the conversation I'm starting. The first is we see quite a lot of opportunity. Now, not just because we're fintech and we're at the cusp of technology, it's because part of what we're seeing from the data that we have and the people that we serve is the technology is making a difference. I mean, maybe people outside this room don't know, but we all in this room are aware that some of the biggest microfinance institutions in the country are those who have leveraged technology. I mean, I struggle to tell many friends, many of whom do not understand as much as you in the room, that Kuda is actually a microfinance bank. I'm sure you understand. Okay? What we're seeing is that the impact we're seeing in the industry, the volumes we're seeing in the industry, and the difference that people are making, the growth potentials are typically leveraged and driven by tech. And so one of the things we're saying is, as partners, we want to work with you to leverage tech to be able to grow not just your operations, but drive growth. I mean, that's number one. Number two opportunity that we're seeing is collaboration. And I liked when our MC, Nicholson, was talking about the possibility that this event poses. Of the things that we're seeing. Today, we know many of you as a microfinance, you have to leverage on technology to drive operations. Now, that makes sense because you want to drive efficiency. But beyond this, one of the things that we're saying is in trying to galvanize industry events like this and start conversations, we're able to work together to not just put together the technology that drives it, but to work together and create solutions that make things happen. One of the things the MC said, again, was about the possibility of leveraging on some of the new technologies in town to drive services in a way that impresses not just your customer, but drives growth and increased profit. So collaboration is second. But the third, which is one of the things that we hope, usually many organizations, fintechs and microfinance inclusive, consider innovation to be an expensive experiment. Because more likely than not, you are experimenting 10 things before you get one that works. And that's the reality. But one of the things that we're seeing is that in the tech space, by just leveraging on what is out there and by leveraging on communal strengths, some of which is the reason we have created this event, is one of the possibilities that the future holds. So we're asking that today's event not just gives us an opportunity to tell you about some of the products that we have that can make a difference. We're hoping that at this event, you as our partners will find the time and presence of mind to, not just network, but see what is possible in the field of collaboration. But not just that, we're happy to say, besides the fact that we'll be putting into your eyes some of our best solutions that can drive growth for you, we're happy to listen to you. It's possible that there are ideas that you have, not just for product, but for business, not just for business, but for serving customers. It's possible that there are possibilities that you've envisioned. We're happy to be your listening ears. We're happy to work with you in the field of innovation. We're happy to improve not just our current services, but yours. We believe that it is in the field, it is in the place of collaboration, of innovation, of deploying technology that growth lies. I'll end by saying this. Growth is something that we see as a mandate, more likely than not. Our bosses give us a growth mandate because their bosses gave them growth mandate. Very likely many of you are here because your board impact of the currently ongoing capital crunch. You can only imagine what it is, where some of the big techs all over the world have to lay off in thousands, some in hundreds of thousands. They have to lay off staff, and you have to work to deliver growth at half the cost today. What we're saying is growth as a topic or growth as a reality is something we are not just trying to drive because we desire it. It's something we have to drive together because, frankly, if you're not growing, we're dying. Our hope is that we'll find that time, that possibilities for collaboration, that presence of mind to have those conversations that help us all grow together. I want to say thank you for listening. Such a thrill to have you join us. Thank you, guys.
Your hands together for Larry. Larry, thank you very much for switching off the mic. All right. Wasn't that interesting? I don't know. I was going to ask, does anybody have a question you want to throw at Larry or something from that very, very sound presentation he just made? Any questions in the house? Does anyone have a question? Or should I go ahead and ask a question? Yeah, choose. Do you want to ask a question or should I go ahead and ask a question? The room is silent. I can even hear the cough from the edge. So I go ahead and ask. I can ask a question, right? Don't worry, I have questions for you. Remember, I promised you that we're going to have table competitions, right? And it's going to be a digital competition. So stay close to your phones. If your phones are charged, just hold on to it. Everybody here is going to participate. Don't worry, it's a digital event we're having, and we're running a digital conversation through and through. Larry said a lot, and he said something profound, that meetings like these will bring about conversations. Let's have those conversations. Let's have those conversations. I'm looking forward to having very, very authentic conversations in today's meeting, and which will bring me to prepare for the panel session that we'll be having in a few minutes. So if my colleagues can help me with setting up the stage, because we're going to be having a panel session now. All right? So while we're preparing to have the panel session, there's going to be a timeout whereby you can also have your questions penned down, noted. I'm looking at having very, very, very strong, authentic conversations from these individuals. They are experts in their field. They've been in the grind, like they've been in it. They've done it. They've been there, and they are actually making things happen. Some of them are people you know, and some of them are your colleagues. Some of them are people that you just seen, maybe online, or a statement or a conversation that they've had at one point in time. This today is going to give you an opportunity for us to have these people come and share with us their ideas, come and share with us their thoughts, and how the industry is thriving. Yes, we know there's a lot going on. The tech crunch is happening, and suddenly everybody is jittery. Is the tech community still going to stand? Is it going to survive? I was reading an article and said that we shouldn't be called unicorns. We should be called camels, because camels can actually sustain, and a unicorn is a myth. But he was talking from the perspective of what is happening within the industry, and how big tech like Facebook, Meta, correct me. Big techs like that can actually be downsizing and letting go of staff, and everybody's worried. What is happening? Meanwhile, here in Nigeria, we've heard of a lot of tech firms in Nigeria to let go. But in that same space, a lot of tech ideas, a lot of innovation is being thrown out there. There's a lot happening. And I'm always very excited when I come to events like these, or go for events that I'm speaking at, or I'm also participating or supporting. And I'm seeing young minds, young people coming to decide how their future should be curated. And what has brought this about? Tech has brought this to us all. The tech that we're putting out here has made us be able to take some responsibilities from our environment, from our community, from our government in youth empowerment. And we've taken youth empowerment and made it our own responsibility, and we're making things happen. So once again, I'd like you to just celebrate yourself. Celebrate the next person sitting beside you for being a part of this tech community. Go ahead and celebrate that person. Whether in the microfinance sector, whether in the fintech space, whether the technology driver and innovator, go ahead, celebrate yourselves. I think you guys are not giving yourselves enough credit. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. If you come from an era whereby the only jobs that were available was banking, engineering, and medicine, you would know that what we have today is it's a bouquet of everything. In fact, I think when the statement of be all you can be, when they said it then, they were not speaking of that time. They were probably speaking of today. Today we can stand alone and be all we can be, just from having an idea and putting it out there. And tech has made this possible. So celebrate yourself once again. Give yourself credit. All right. So, okay. I said all that for this guy can set up. Okay. It's called MCing gimmicks, or things you do when you're hosting, so you can get everybody engaged. All right. Okay. So I'm going to be calling up our guests, and they'll be sharing ideas with us. But before I call them up, I think I'll go up first, right? Do I have to introduce myself again before I go up? All right, let me just get up here. All right. The seats are set. Well, please, we'll need more microphones here, all right? If you can just get us more microphones. Is this spot good? Good spot? All right. Okay, so I'm going to be calling up our guest that will handle the panel session. And just give me a second. Okay. These are distinguished people who have made a mark within the industry. Some of them have been around for a while. When I mean a while, they've been around. Okay, let me start from this individual. All right. This person has actually has a her experience is from time all the way back 2015. I think that's the one that she's registered here. She's been a research analyst at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, research and development program associate at the Ford Institute for Human Security, partner and director in BJ Lending. Also, I did some time, maybe 4 to 5 years, as a senior business manager at global and regional payments at Cellulant. Today, she's currently running as senior manager of sales at Migo. I'd like you to put your hands together as a welcome Unini Campbell. Please keep it coming till she comes up. Okay, let me stand here so you can make it easy. So, Unini, you're going to come sit here. All right, yes, you can sit here. Thank you very much. I hope I did justice to your intro. You weren't expecting that, were you? So, all right. So, the rest of you should prepare. All right. Now, this individual has also been around for a while, way back as 2006, as a program analyst. He's also been a research lead at EvaluServe. This was way back 2006 as well. Currently a non-executive director at Merald Group. And today he's the co-founder of InCash. Please put your hands together as I welcome my friend, Sudhanshu Gaurav. Did I get it? All right, put your hands together for Sud. Okay. So watch when I'm saying my friend, I'm Famzin. Okay? Yes, you can sit there, please. I'm taking my time to farm, so I'm calling them my friend. So when I say I have friends, you believe me now, right? Okay, so for the next person I'm going to call, all right. This individual is an experienced, innovative, and highly driven and a team-oriented professional with over 10 years hands-on experience in the electronic payment and information system industry, with unrelenting passion for information technology, IT, e-payments, and its development in the achievement of business organizational goals. This individual is currently the head of retail payment at Interswitch. So put your hands together as I introduce to you Susan Fasipwe. Keep it coming. She's coming all the way from the back, so. She's not here yet, so please, you guys keep it on. You don't have to run. Enjoy the hand claps. Just come. All right, Suzanne, thank you. Okay, we have one more person. Okay. In fact, the portfolio of this individual is many. And you know why it's many. Well, he's been doing stuff since 2004. He's been around since that, a creative strategist, copywriter. He's done some work with Signal Alliance Technology Holding, done some things with Island Explorer, that was in 2011. He's also, I let it out, I said he. He's also been the head of brands and marketing at System Specs. He did that for like 5 years. Did some work at System Specs as business solutions advisor, and quite a lot of things I did at System Specs. Also, just to add to this, he was also head of marketing at Sidmac. Yeah, Sidmac Technologies. He's also done some work as a country business and marketing officer at Cellulant. Today, he's the group head, mobile financial services at Interswitch Group. He's the same person that just gave a keynote presentation, and he's no other than my friend, Olariwaju Adelawa, a.k.a. Basamta. Now you know why he did all that talking about microfinance and how you can organize the industry. He's been around. So put your hands together for him once again as he comes off stage. Yeah, you can sit there. Make it easy for you too. Okay. All right. And I'm Nicholson Aleke, and I'll be anchoring this panel session. So put your hands together for my guests once more. And guys, thanks for joining. So I'll have a seat. Permit me, please. Okay, this is a very interesting panel because for the first time in a while, I'm hosting a panel session that has females on it. Most of the time is always male. And what I like about this panel session is there's this chatter that women in tech are not being given enough room. But I've come to see that women in tech are actually making things happen and are doing a lot. So I'm very happy for the ladies on stage with me. Thanks for joining. All right, so I'll be going to the questions. Okay? And I want you to just make the questions as brief, as authentic as possible. Okay, 1 second, please. All right, and my first question will go to the closest to me. All right, Unini, I'd like you to tell us, currently, what are the challenges affecting collaboration in the financial services industry, and how do players in the industry become collaborators for industry growth and profitability?
Hello? Okay. All right. Thanks, Nicholson. So not too much background since we've had the two speeches. So from experience, I would say a major challenge to collaboration, and really when I think about collaboration, also looking at the mix of people we have in the room, we're talking about majorly between, the fintech startup environment and the traditional financial services environment. I would say it's culture. So you have the traditional financial, services institutions who are, in terms of their culture, a lot more rigorous in the process. They're highly regulated. You also have what we'll call maybe some form of bureaucratic processes. On the other hand, you have fintech, who is, from a culture perspective, innovative, dynamic, agile. The time frame that a traditional financial institution would take to make a decision and implement a particular solution, in the fraction of that time, a fintech would probably do that, right? So a major challenge, that I've seen is that culture and being able to blend that. There's also trust, right, and an understanding in terms of regulation. Now, the traditional financial system institutions are highly regulated and have, over the years, figured out how to work within those regulations. And then there's trust around, do the fintechs understand the limits of this regulation? And when we collaborate with them, can they work within that? And things like that. But the way I see it is that these challenges also really then pose the need for collaboration. Because, in talking about the culture of both, sort of both ends of the spectrum, it also shows what are the strengths, of both ends of the spectrum. There's a strength for the fintech in being able to deploy things very quickly. And so that's why I think, the challenges actually show that we need collaboration to move on. And quickly, how does should this collaboration happen? One is the openness and the willingness to actually have these conversations and understand that we do need collaboration. There's a lot of talk about collaboration, but actual conversations and dialogue. 1. 2 is putting the customer at the center of whatever it is that we want to do and these solutions. The proliferation of digital solutions has changed the taste of the market, and customers want things that are easier, convenient, and things like that. So as long as we put the customer's needs at the center of the conversation, then it's also easier for both parties to come to the table and really figure out how best we can collaborate and sort of overcome the different challenges or differences. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like what you said, that putting the customer at the center. It's very, very important. By the way, if you have questions, you can just write them down. I think the writing materials provided. We can write them down so you can take the questions after we're done with the session. We can now take questions from you. Okay, so my next question goes to Sud. Sud, can I call you Sud? All right. So, questions for Sud. What are the opportunities that collaboration will avail industry players?
Good morning, everyone. The first most important thing is that I want to first congratulate Interswitch on having this discussion.
Thank you.
Today, we are discussing about both growth and profitability. Given the fact that you are seeing layoffs in the industry, it's important to also talk about profitability. One of the key things collaboration does is accesses your road to profitability faster. You're not developing each and every technology, and you can access market much quicker. In a way, we have a saying in our company, in Encash, we say, develop the core and collaborate for more. So you develop what you're good at and collaborate what others are good at. It's 1 + 1 is 11 now. It's no more 2. So with collaboration, I believe if industry-wide, with more and more collaborations, the growth pattern will grow up and sustainability, which is at the key of today's world, will be easier. So overall, first, the conversation, what she just said, to have the conversation towards collaboration, to have the conversations toward not just growth. Growth we have been discussing since probably when startups started. Everybody talks about growth, acceleration, cash burn. These are very common things. But profitability, can you sustain that growth? And collaboration, I believe, going forward will be one of the key things to grow, have that profitability.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, all right, so let me push this question to Susan now. All right, so Susan, it's even a good thing that you're from Interswitch, so I can easily throw this question at you. How is Interswitch driving growth in the payment space? How?
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy I'm representing Interswitch in this question, right? I think Interswitch has been in the forefront of payment for the past 20 years. I think starting from when the first ATM interconnected with themselves, where a GT card or a Zenith card can pay on a First Bank ATM terminal. I think that's how the journey started 20 years ago. And what we've done over the years is to see, going beyond the fact that ATM can talk to themselves, how else can we provide value to our customers, be it the bank or the consumers, to make life a whole lot easier for them. And that has given birth to some other innovative solutions like our quick teller solutions, where you can easily buy bill payments, you can do your utility bills right on the fly and on the go. And beyond that, Interswitch then decided to look at beyond just the fintech space, what other industry verticals can we go into to make life a whole lot easier for them and accelerate payments for those verticals. Interswitch has decided to go into the place of healthcare, into the place of transportation, and various industry verticals to be able to see how all the various challenges you have within that environment, we can easily solve them. And the mantra for us is solve problems, and there is no one else within Africa that can solve our problems more than we in Africans. And I think that's been our driving principle, basically. And one of the things we've also done is to see how well we can continue to bring to fore various innovative solutions. We know the landscapes are changing every day. The technology for yesterday is no longer the technology for today. Before, it used to be so much of hosted infrastructure. Now people are going to the cloud. How can we begin to develop solutions that would not require so much infrastructure investment from the various partners that we have in the room, and collaboration has always been our game. That's why today you probably can have an Interswitch event and we have all our similar partners, competitors, friends in the room. Why? Because we've decided to go just beyond the bound of it is Interswitch. We believe the pie is very big and everybody can have their share. And one of the things, again, we are doing right now is annually like this, we tend to go to various regions to organize the regional breakfast shows like this, where we can have these conversations that my friend Onini has talked about, where we can begin to share ideas. How can we help come together and partner together? I think one of my DCOs said something. They said if two elephants fight, right, the grass is the one that bears the bronze. Then imagine if two elephants collaborate together, the growth we would see in this industry will be astronomical. This has always been a mindset and mantra, and that's why with Interswitch, all we do all the time is to see how well we can bring programs like these, have these conversations, go back, develop innovative solutions so that the payment landscape will continue to grow and the drive for financial inclusion will become better, and we can actually, hopefully, we can meet our financial inclusion targets in 2024. Thank you.
Okay, I'm happy you put the targets in there. So there's work in it eventually. But I'm not letting you go yet. You said a lot about things that Interswitch is doing to enable the digital ecosystem. All right, so I remember when Babatunde Okufi gave his opening remarks, he talked about BNPL, talked about a lot of ideas, and everybody seems to be in that talk that there's some things going on. So I know one of them is value financing, you know, and there's been a lot of chatter in that direction. So here's my question. How will value financing spur growth of the payment ecosystem?
Thank you very much for that question. Okay, for value financing, more than ever, the inflation rate and growth in the world is astronomical. In the past 2-3 years, probably if you're looking at consumer price index, it was ranging between 1 to 2%. But for this year, consumer price index again has grown to about 8.3%. It simply means the value for either naira, dollar, or don't let's mention naira, let's say dollar, pounds, has even gone, they're beginning to lose its value. Why? Because the purchasing power it has yesterday is no longer the purchasing power it has today. It simply means that if all of us here decide to divide our salary by the existing dollar rate today, we're probably are poorer for yesterday. And what that means for us is that your needs are not going to stop. You still have that bill to pay. Then how then can you make people, despite the fact that the resources are dwindling, but they can still go ahead and live the life of convenience that they would have? We know in Nigerian markets, we are not so much of a credit-centric environment, but then how then can you make it a whole lot easier to look at the people that are really entitled to have credit and they can easily spread their bills over a particular period of time, which one of the things Interswitch have done. We've been able to create a buy now, pay later solution where customers can go or check out on a particular website based on an agreement with the merchant, and you can pay over a particular period of time. So a typical user journey would be customer probably go to Quick Teller, you want to buy something, ticket, airtime, off on that platform. You can choose to spread your payment over 6-7 years, and all we need to do is just tokenize your card and ensure you pay little by little. What have we done? We've just eased the burden of you paying one bulk sum that will probably eat your salary at once, for those that are salary earners, right? And then you have opportunity to be able to pay little by little, and then you really do not feel the crunch and the effect of the inflation rates. Why? Because there is that solution that has helped you spread your payments and your liability over the years. So that's one of the things I think value financing would really drive digital payments and growth. Why? Because you would not really feel the effect of the inflation 100%. Why? Because that's the things that you probably would have left on board. You can easily buy. Why? Because you can spread your payments over a particular time.
Thank you very much, Susan. I know Incash and Migo play in this industry as well. Would you want to take a shot at that as well? Do you also want to share an idea?
Yeah, thanks. So just adding to what Susan had said, like she explained, the whole idea of value financing, or like we like to call, it's embedding finance within people's transactional journey, right, is just empowering people to be able to access and meet their needs today, right, with the promise of particular earning ability over time. And I mean, when we look at the Western world, the economies have been built on the availability of this kind of credit opportunity. And so that has left a lot unlocked in Africa and other emerging markets where we've not really been able to figure this out, right? And so I'm really excited that, players like Migo, Incash, and others are finding ways to start to unlock this and make this available to the everyday individual in the course of their everyday transactions.
Brilliant. Thank you. Sud?
I will add on the same way what she said. Value proposition for, like at Encash, we are giving salaries on demand, whereas accrued salaries before they are done. we leverage with collaborators, like she just said about BNPLs, or with another partner to give savings and others. Through that, employees or individuals can gain access to things which they are not supposed to get access today. As we give more and more these facilities overall, with the devaluation, as she said, of Naira, or with other things, access to important things that matter to you today becomes possible. So overall, we are creating and giving things in the hands of people which were not supposed to be idly done in a normal situation. And that's the power of collaboration, that's the power of fintechs.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
go ahead.
And I mean, when you really look at these things, they are not entirely new concepts. One way or the other, we found ways to access credit, right? Whether it's from somewhere in your neighborhood, or I mean, years back, as long as you were working in a good organization, there are people you could go to if you wanted to buy a refrigerator or something. You put down like post-dated checks, right? And then you're able to get that to start your family. So these concepts have always existed, right? And have proven the fact that there is a need and there's a demand and the market is ready. So all we need to do now is just keep finding innovative ways, exactly, to scale this across more people.
Yeah, thank you for that. I remember furnishing my first apartment with post-dated checks. You're laughing. You know, post-dated checks. Yeah, some people got phones using post-dated checks and all that. So really, so much is happening. I like the way the excitement on the panel is getting up. All right, so Unini, I'm coming back to you. Now that you're on fire, let me just throw this question at you then. Okay, so in the last few years, we have seen a massive shift of customers from using physical payments to digital payments. Do you think this trend will continue?
Great question, but I hope Larry didn't offend you, because...
Me, Larry, we're coming for Larry. Larry just finished doing his speech, so let me allow him catch his breath. No,
Okay.
Larry, I'm coming for you next.
Okay, cool. So short answer, yes. I do expect to see this trend going for the next, God knows how many years. Not just because, like we've all mentioned here, there's a proliferation of digital solutions. Everyone wants, solutions at their fingertips. But I think even beyond the move from physical payments to digital payments or digital solutions, we would also keep seeing more digital solutions, but to even more sophisticated and well-tuned digital solutions. To give a couple of examples, at Migo started out giving credit products, right, via individual channels directly to customers or to consumers. And then over time, as we keep listening to the market, we then were able to identify the need for what we call embedded finance, which is also sort of taking over the world. BNPL is an example. But even beyond BNPL, you have merchants and businesses who are processing transactions, every single day. Why allow them go to a different channel to access credit and then come to a different channel to process their collections from their customers? Why not just embed the option of credit and every other financial value added service that they would need within the same ecosystem, right? And so that's something that we've really been driving at Migo. And of course, the only way to achieve this is to leverage collaborations and partnerships, right? So people and partners, establishments, people who have built ecosystems that others have come to trust. Why don't we just sort of empower those ecosystems and then embed finance within that space? So that's one. Two, I was at the International Financial Inclusion Conference at Abuja a few days back, and there was something one of the speakers said that really stood out for me. It's not the first time, we all know this, but she talked about how she has been using this same bank for 15 years from when she was a copper. She used the bank as a copper. She got her first job, moved on to her next role, got married, had her first child, her second child, another job, started her own company, all of this. And over the 15 years, nothing has changed in the kind of service she receives from that bank. And that's like an entire lifetime. this bank has had an opportunity to learn about her, to know her. I mean, who, I'm sure even her husband has not been with her for 15 years, right? But this bank has been with her for 15 years, and nothing has changed in how she's being served from a financial services perspective. I mean, so that just shows the kind of opportunity that's there and what's left to be unlocked. So besides moving from, physical solutions or payments to more digital, but I think even just that closer look to how well can we fine-tune these services to really meet people, right? How can we get more needs-fit services from whether it's traditional financial institutions or fintechs, and boils down to the topic of this whole panel, which is down to collaboration, and how that will help us meet that.
Thank you very much. All right, so Larry, I'm here for you. You need to blame for this, okay? Right. Okay, so don't worry, you have your turn on her too very soon, all right? All right, so, so Larry, tell me, what is the future of digital payments in Nigeria? I mean, looking at everything that's happening, regulation, conversations, innovation, and all that, collaboration. Which other Sean can we use now? Sean. Okay, so, I think you need to mention inclusion in Abuja right now, so it seems like all the Seans are here. Is Sean in the building? Okay, so what is the future of digital payments in Nigeria? What would you say is the future of digital payments in Nigeria?
Okay. I'm going to talk some irony, right? Because when we started this event, we talked about the need to collaborate more as industry players. But I also think in the same breath that we talk too much to ourselves that we assume we are all there is. And so when you ask a question like, what's the future of digital payments in Nigeria, we assume that digital payment is the be-all, end-all. Actually, digital payment is just a subset of digital tech. Very small. And so maybe what the question should be, or what the perspective, not a question, what the perspective should be is, what is the future of digital technologies? Because a lot of the time, it is the prevailing technologies that payment professionals like yourself, myself, we now take and use to drive. And so if you were asking that as a straightforward question, I'll say, just look around. We are seeing the reemergence of blockchains, okay? And I'm sure when we started, somebody had talked blockchain, how to use blockchains as platform, how to use blockchains to drive channels. We're saying that. I think it was during today's session, was talking about how IoT is changing the game. We've all known a world of channels and structured channels. In the 80s, it was supercomputers. In the 90s, it was PCs. In the early 2000s, it was laptops. In 2010, it was tablets. Now it's mobile. But hey, our kids are not going to see structured channels like that. It's everything connected. So when Unini was talking about embedded finance, when Tunde was talking about, everything else, talking to the net and driving payments, that's the world we're in. Many years ago, we were all scared about robots taking our jobs, and today is actually robots driving the jobs, and everybody is deploying bots here and bots there. So I think much of what we'll see is that as digital technologies continue to evolve, right? Payment professionals, yourself in particular, and myself, and Susan, because that's much of what she does, they'll continue to explore and exploit this technology to drive more convenience. My final thoughts, at least on this question, is what Unini said that I think it was great that you didn't call me on time because I paid attention, right? Is many of these services that we're now digitizing, we talk about innovation because it's exciting. When we say I'm innovating, more likely than not, somebody in the room is going to give me billions and my valuation is going to go sky high. But a lot of the time, these services are either actually present or they are already in one form or the other. And so what digital technology really is, they are enablers, okay? They generally tend to make life easier, faster, better. So what you'll find is that the problem is not much about digital technologies. It's more about critical services that matters to people that we need to digitize and make easier and simpler so that the customers are better served. That's how I see it.
That was brilliant. Thank you. And I like the way you've been able to distinguish or rather decipher the question and make it more elaborate. Talking about digital tech, we all know that the World Cup is currently ongoing.
My brother.
And there's someone called me, a journalist called me recently, and she was asking me that if to share my thoughts around digital technology that's been introduced into soccer, into football. I'm not going to call it soccer, into football. It's football, we call it here. We don't call it soccer. So, and she mentioned, okay, what do you have to say about the chips that have been put in the balls, to monitor the balls and all that. I know the idea that came to me, I think betting companies can even maximize using that chip in that ball, that how many kicks, everybody places a bet on how many kicks are going to hit that ball. And that chip is going to measure it. So, hey, there it goes. Digital technology is, from there, payments can actually come into that. And before you know it, probably InCash or Migo or Interswitch might be the ones driving the payments eventually of how that. And then the financial institutions who can come and play in it. And here we go. And there we go. All right. An ecosystem has been developed already. All right. So it's brilliant. Thanks for that. So in your brilliance, let me ask you this one more question. Since Unini said I should face you. All right. And here's my question. What are the measures fintechs, banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions, what measures do they need to put in place to ensure growth and profitability?
That sounds like the question is even too much for me. Do you want to repeat it?
Okay. Let me just take the last part.
Okay. That's
the
easy.
first part, you are familiar with those names. Financial institutions, everybody that is in this ecosystem, right? So here's the question. What do we need to put in place to ensure growth and profitability?
Okay. I was writing an article last week, okay? And the focus of the piece I was writing was how big tech is driving efficiencies today. I mean, I work at a fintech, and I'm not particularly proud in this moment where colleagues of mine, I mean, most of them I don't know, but colleagues of mine are losing their jobs all over the world. I mean, Twitter lost 4,400 staff this month. Oh, it was last month, all right? Meta lost 13,000. Google, while I was writing the article, Google announced they were letting go 10,000 last week, Wednesday. I was talking to Susan about it. We're in Abuja. And there's a site profiling that about 120K people. And it's not that these companies have suddenly lost their heart. It is that we're in a global crunch, and one of the things that everybody does impulsively is to drive efficiency. So if you're asking me, what should we be doing to drive growth, particularly in an economical downturn, is first to drive efficiency. The question is how? There's no easier way than to deploy technology. And I'm sorry to have to say this publicly, because I like to think that I'm a social advocate, where I advocate, and I think I am, but I'm on this stage now, so forgive me. Forgive me. I think that there are things we do today that we need to maybe stop. There are facts we have today that we maybe have to cut. And some of those facts are in service efficiencies that we need to drive. We will need to deploy more tech, clearly, not just to improve services, but to have to reduce dependencies on people in the long run, number one. Number two, because we're in a general crunch, it means that the only guy who survives is the one who not just drives efficiency, but offers innovative services. And you know what? There's no tool that gives you as much capability to drive innovation as tech also. That is true. The third one, which is something we've maybe overflogged. I mean, we talk about it a lot of the time. And I think it's the vogue. Innovation. I mean, beside the fact that it sounds good, and it ends with Sean, just like you were saying, innovation is quite clearly the pathway to go. We all know this ancient Chinese saying, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with others. It is clear that to crawl ourselves out of this dark cloud, I mean, it's called a crypto winter, and then it's called capital crunch, and it's called something. To crawl ourselves out of this hole that we have found ourselves in, we have to tag along. It means that that new product that you're thinking of creating, do you have the people and the time to create it when someone else's have? shouldn't you leverage? I mean, I loved some of the thoughts that Uneni shared about the fact that they provide credit and financing today. They could as well say, you know what, we want to go to town and recruit all the customers ourselves. But no, they're collaborating with Interswitch today, and I hope that we're winning together. So some of the pathway forward is deploy tech, quite clearly, okay? Collaborate further, because you can't do it alone. And then drive more efficiencies, because today, the fact that we used to survive with together, we cannot survive anymore because the cash is not there and the economy is not smiling. I'd like to stop there. Thanks.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to say about that question, to be honest. There's so much to say. Or maybe, does anybody wants to, Susan, do you want to say something to it?
I would just like to, he's already said it very well. I would just like to add that instead of saying growth, we should say sustainable growth. All kind of growth is not healthy. Sustainable growth, which has unit economics which are positive and which can turn into profitability in a foreseeable future. That is the kind of growth which will bring about a healthy ecosystem, which is good for everyone.
Thank you very much, Sud. Does anybody else want to drop a point on that? Okay. Do you want to?
No, well, I just to add to what he said, which is, and I think, like Larry was saying, you know, capital crunch, winter is here. I think all of this would is also forcing we as players to actually start to look more to sustainability, right? You know, there are all these interesting languages. Like I was having a chat with Larry before the session started. Growth hacking, hyper growth, you know, and all these interesting things. And then now that it's winter, it has sort of forced us to look at what are the fundamentals and the levers that actually drive business. You know, because tech, like Larry said, is an enabler. The core of it is the service that's been offered, right? It's the solution, it's the need that's been met. And as long as we keep focusing on that, right, putting the customer at the center, focusing on what that service and what that solution is, and the levers that actually drive the business, then, you know, basically just having tech as an enabler would then position us for sustainable growth. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm enjoying this conversation. Are you guys feeling what I'm feeling? Okay, I can see some smiles from the audience, but you can pen down your questions, please, and we'll take some of your questions. Okay, so let me ask a general question for everyone on the panel. Okay, and I just want to hear your thoughts around this, because there's another side of digital payments that we're quiet about. And this is really affecting, even in innovation, the conversation around innovation. We've seen what's happening in the crypto space and how unsafe your NFTs have suddenly become. Blockchain, unfortunately, crypto was what was used to explain blockchain to the world. Now everybody's scared of blockchain, not knowing that blockchain is not crypto. But that was the only way they could use to explain it. There's so much that can still be done with blockchain. So if you are innovating with blockchain, don't be afraid. Go ahead, continue what you're doing. I'm not saying blockchain is the future, but like Unini said, technology is an enabler, all right? So we're going somewhere. So here's my question. And I hope we'll be able to share a lot around this. Now, the increase in digital payment adoption has given rise to fraud cases. If I go on this alone, I can go on and on and on it, right? But I'm just going to stay put and stick to my panel chair responsibilities. Okay, so the increase in digital payment adoption has given rise to fraud cases. What should fintechs do? Or should I say, what should fintechs be doing to curb fraud? I would like to start from Susan, because I've not heard you speak.
I'm sure
for a while.
For a while, yes. I think we've talked about collaboration a lot, right? And I think one of the things I would want to speak when it comes to what fintech should do collaboratively would be the need to share data more than ever, right? So I'm imagining a world where if a fraud happened on one platform, it is reported in a centralized place, and before the next fraud will happen on, for example, a Migo platform, you can easily call that centralized system to confirm that this transaction is valid or not, to see if there's any pattern of fraud that has happened before, and you can critically then take a decision to then say, no, I would avail credit or I don't avail credit. So imagine all of us having that access to such data. What we would successfully do within the Nigerian community is to be able to have a generic list of people we can easily blacklist. We know some people are fraudsters. So once I blacklist someone, it's very hard for the person to go to the next platform to commit fraud. Why? Because he knows that every other person would have access to this blacklisted information. So imagine a world where we have that access to that data, and within ourselves in Nigeria, we can create that community. Those fraudsters would know that, yes, that we are actually doing something different, and would probably make them move to the next country or the next town. Why? Because there is that database that once they are blacklisted on one platform, they probably cannot go. And another thing again is the fact that fraud is everyone's responsibility, right? From Interswitch perspective, what we've tried to do is then begin to see how then do we create fraud solutions that can help you solve some of this problem. Fraud solutions that are not just only rule-based driven, but has artificial intelligence embedded, such that by the time a customer is transacting, and the customer is transacting outside his usual pattern, the system can easily flag to say, no, this customer does not do more than 10,000 naira. Suddenly it's a 20,000 naira happening on his account. It can easily flag such transactions, and you will just know that, yes, I need to call this customer to confirm. What would that do for you to build your brand loyalty? Because the customer you'd always be the go-to person for that customer, right? Because he knows that his transaction using your platform, he feels a whole lot secure. So I think from all of us, I would just say we need to collaborate more on how we can easily begin to share data of when fraud happens, and how we can also begin to get fraud solutions such as this to protect us. Thanks.
Oh, myself. I think two things. I mean, I suspect they are going to talk about tech. So as you were asking the question, I was checking online. And I don't know if you have seen this advert from the Dubai police about securing your account. Has anybody seen it? I mean, the ad was made with this song by Shaggy, It Wasn't Me, about securing your account. And it's interesting because the first day I saw it, it thrilled me a lot. I think one of the reasons why fraud thrives in the digital space in Nigeria is because we hide it, all of us, right? I mean, beside the fact that CBN say you should declare when the fraud has happened, it is a brand stain that's the way we perceive it culturally, for you to be defrauded, your bank, your fintech, for you to announce it. And because we don't talk about it, you know what thrives in the dark, right? We all know, Shai? I think we need to shine light on fraud. That's number one. Number two, I think we need to collaborate more with the consumers, okay? And I say that because if it is an individual's fund that is lost, that person is a perpetual victim. I don't know if you've been checking the trend recently. Yeah. If it is an institution's fund that is lost, is the shareholder and investor. People don't take ownership. When I mean people, I mean fintechs, banks. We struggle to take ownership of that process. I think that needs to improve. And then the third one, which Dubai police did well, and I think we may need to do here more, is to educate more. When we talk about digital fraud, people think about one big hacker hacking some of the biggest banks. But usually, it's not just that. Those guys that collect loans from 5 fintechs and don't pay, they're defrauding. That's fraud. Those guys, and we maybe know some of them. I hopefully don't know some of them. So I'm saying that Nigeria culturally, we think that if somebody is defrauding virtually, is a smart person. That's the prevailing culture. And maybe not. But I think that the job of educating customers, educating the industry, helping them to know that fraud is as harmful as other crimes will also help us get better prepared to be fraud resistant in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And guess what? To pick off on that, your conversation on everybody announcing their fraud, it's true. And what just came to me is that maybe that's what blockchain might even solve. Have a universal ledger and have a universal register of everybody that's different. That way, you don't even have to announce it. If that's what the institutions are scared of, they don't have to announce it. They can just have it there. And everyone that is a member of that community has access to it. So when you see certain patterns coming up, they flag it. And everybody, and that way we can even learn from each other and learn from each other's mistakes. Thank you, Larry. True. All right, Sud, what are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. Again, I will repeat what they said, collaboration. Collaboration we spoke about with other fintechs, collaboration with banks, and collaboration with regulators. Keeping the regulator in play is very important because regulator is what controls the overall ecosystem. So a healthy talk with regulators, a data sharing of who's been frauded, about individuals, about corporates, about companies, so that overall, as the ecosystem grows, unfortunately, fraud will grow at a certain pace. It's natural. The only way to keep it down is if we talk, and we are not shy about talking. As you just said, if I have a fintech, if I have been defrauded by somebody, there's one option for me to keep quiet and just think, okay, let me not tell others that my data security is poor. But the other thing is that we all come out and we all talk about it. So frauds, like in our case, one person who's already frauded me is going to next 5 fintechs and also frauding them. These instances go down. And, with blockchain, what he said, I didn't think about it. I'm just repeating what he said. It's a great way of thinking. And as you think about it more, you will see more fintechs coming who will actually work on data privacy, on data protection, and all of us will collaborate with them as a direct data provider to check on a particular company, check on a particular individual, and that is the only way the frauds will go down.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Sud. All right, Nini.
Yeah, okay. So at the risk of repeating what they've all said, I would just, right, since I'm talking last. But I would just touch on it because, especially for Migo, we're very information sharing dependent, right? So we feel on a daily basis how important it is, the point we've raised around data sharing, information sharing, and things like that. For instance, now when we say data sharing and things, like one, awareness, these kinds of things happen. So let's all sort of keep collaborating and engaging, and we see how we can learn from our challenges and how we sort of overcome them. But I would like to say that even beyond fraud, the idea of information sharing and data sharing really helps to manage the majority of the risks that are inherent in offering digital financial services. So that makes this point super important. And then other things that, fintechs can do, which we sort of touched on monitoring these transactions, really setting up the systems, our systems in a way, first of all, being aware that this thing happens and monitoring very strictly, right, what it looks like. 2, there's also the idea of KYC, know your customer, know your business. I know initially when the whole KYC thing was being pushed, it was seen as stress, and almost like a stumbling block to how quickly you can onboard customers or grow your base and things like that. But the truth is, also, as we've seen cases of fraud, and these things actually come up, it's forced us to truly appreciate the essence of having that in our processes and for us to actually truly abide by them. And lastly, like Larry had mentioned, is educating the public, creating that awareness amongst users and customers and consumers to truly understand what this means, the various ways that it can be experienced, and how to really, sort of put up guard against it.
Thank you very much. This has been a very, very interesting conversation. I have a lot more questions, but let me just hold up for our guests. And Dio, how do we want to run this? Do we have questions from the audience? Like, I can see a hand there, another hand. Okay, 3 hands up already. Okay, so should we ask them to come forward so we can just give them the mic easy, or you want to take the mic to them? They're in different spots. Okay, so I see a hand over there. Please just raise your hand again if you want to ask questions. This has been a very interesting panel, I must say. I mean, put your hands together for them. Thank you. I've had panel sessions this year. I've had a couple, and this has been one of my most interesting conversations I've had. And I mean, look at me dishing out ideas. I'm feeling like I should be on this panel too now. Maybe I should hand the mic over to Dio. Let me to I have something to talk. All right, let's have the questions.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Taufik from VBank. When we discuss the issue of fraud, I like the idea that, okay, we should have a fraud community. At least during account opening, we had the issue of do a search if the person is in among these fraud lists, among the sanction lists or whatever, just to confirm if this customer is there. So now, Interswitch is a very big company, and I want to believe you guys have a say with CBN, whatever the regulators is. When we say we need to do this, we need to do that, who needs to do that? So what is Interswitch doing to ensure that we have this fraud community so that it can save most of these young fintech coming up, so that at least customer can start to have confidence in the digital space? So that's my question.
Thank you very much. You know what you just did? Did you see what was happening here? Immediately say, Interswitch problem. Give them. Give them. All right.
At the end of the mic over to me.
Miss Interswitch, can you please respond to that question? The
I
best
think I
way
like
you
your
possibly
question
can.
very much. The fact that we use the word we, and again, fraud is everyone's responsibility. I totally agree with you that because Interswitch is big, we should begin to have that conversation with CBN. And I think CBN, in its own way, have tried in different ways to have this type of repository of information or data. Probably what we've not done is how then do they begin to expose this data. I know from the bank perspective, when I used to be in the bank, that once fraud like this happen, there's a way we have to report it to CBN. But probably at the digital channel space, even though you report it, it's probably not available yet, probably in form of APIs and the rest. So maybe the next conversation would then be, how then do we begin to engage regulators to begin to maybe in form of an API where you can easily begin to call to confirm if this customer has been blacklisted or if it's true, right? So I think is a conversation. I'm very sure I have my Ogas here, Tunde and the rest. We can always have with CBN to then begin to see how then do we find pattern. Because whether we like it or not, I said we, and there must be a body that is trusted, that we all can trust to keep this data. I'm almost practically certain if they tell me to go and keep my data with some people now, I'll say, I can't, right? So maybe since they are the middle body that we all similarly can trust, then the next thing would then be how then can they begin to expose this information to us, or how can we begin real time access this information before we make critical authorization decision. Another thing we've done differently again in Interswitch is while we're trying to aggregate this data is then see we have fraud solutions we can actually give you to also help save you from making some critical information. The major thing is for you to be proactive, right? Not after the fact. So we have fraud solutions that can help you set rules, merchant-based rules, consumer-based rule. It's just simple as much as your customers, your merchant today sells airtime. He has no business selling a good worth 100,000. And suddenly there's 100,000 naira goods transaction being done on the site, we should have a system in place that should be able to flag that transaction to see this merchant is deviating from a standard transaction type. So we have that solution that we can partner with you to help you secure that particular transaction from the merchant perspective. And also have the artificial intelligence ability to be able to begin to spot various patterns your customer and consumer transact on your platform, and it will help you proactively prevent fraud, while we are also working with the CVN and the regulators to see how well these data that we will start collating individually can be exposed to us online real time.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for that response. And that fraud solution is available. They can easily access it, and all right.
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks a lot. The next question, please. Okay, who's helping with the mic? All right.
Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Uzezi. I currently run my own business. And I'm asking this question from a customer perspective, and it's regards to fraud and defaulting payment. So I've been in situations where a number of people have, maybe I should stand up so it's easier for you guys to see me. I've been in a number of situations where I've received messages from what we call loan apps, you know, telling about how someone has defaulted on a payment and this person is going to be arrested and all that. So my question really, being in a tech gathering of fintech people, is I just want us to draw the line between ethics and best practice. So is it ethical for me who probably doesn't even know this person, right? Or who this fintech company probably has access to their contact details and then found my name on their contact details, and then they are sending me messages to say that this person defaulted a payment. First of all, is that even ethical? And then two is, what is the best practice to handle those kind of defaulting customers such that I don't have to come into that mix, you know, because tomorrow, obviously, I'm not a patronizer of loan apps or those kind of things, but I just don't want to be in that mess of, you know, somebody defaults on your end, and then I'm getting messages or I'm getting calls. Sometimes I've gotten calls, and the people who are even calling me are so rude. They're like, I'm the one who's owing the money, you know, those kind of things. So, yeah, I just want to know how we can differentiate between what's ethical, and then what would be your best practice, being that you're in the fintech space? What would be the best practice to handle those kind of situations? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ozizi, did I get that? Uzezi.
Uzezi. Yes.
All right, thanks. Great question. No, that is not ethical. That is highly discriminatory. When I get those kinds of messages, I actually take them and report to a particular channel with CBN, right? And I think we actually need to create more awareness for people to know when you get those kinds of messages, what do you do? Because we kind of only owe it to one another and to our space or industry to make sure that we're protecting it from the wrong kind of vibes or the wrong kind of practices. So that's to respond to that and say that, no, that's not allowed. Today, there are NDPR, that's National or Nigerian Data Protection Guidelines. You also have GDPR, which is more global, that guides the different fintechs or financial institutions as to how, you know, the kind of practices that they need to take on in terms of addressing issues around data privacy and things like that. Now, to a very large extent, the responsibility on how to manage defaulting customers or payments lies on the service provider, right? Now, when you say you want to set up, a credit services company, that does not just mean finding capital and finding people to give money to. Like I tell a lot of people, finding who is going to take your money is the easiest, right? You know, today Migo does thousands of loans on a daily basis, and that's just a little fraction of the number of requests that you get. So that's the easiest part. Being able to set up that entire, you know, chain up to how you also manage the defaulted payments is what actually then makes for a good company, right? Or how you maybe set that up. And there are practices around collections, around follow-ups, around reminders. Just to give a sneak peek, for instance, for Migo, over the years, one of the things we figured out is how powerful reminders are in getting people to pay on time. It's so powerful, you won't imagine. The timing of the reminder, time of day, time of the month, or time of the week. It's so powerful in how you can get people to pay back. Right? Because I mean, when you really give out credit, right, it's based on the payback is people's ability and willingness to pay. So how do you sort of manage those two things? So these are the things that, you know, is expected that a fintech or the financial service provider needs to take into account in setting up their processes to achieve that. And like we've been talking about collaboration, there are also a lot of other tech companies who have sort of brought up different solutions that would help credit service providers to also sort of strengthen the entire process, right? One, in terms of determining who you should give credit to in the first place, and then also how do you manage the engagements, you know, the correspondence with the customer up to the point that you then collect on the loan. And will there be some that would go bad? Yes, but then that's the business of credit, right? And of course, the idea is that these things have already been taken into consideration in developing the business model. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nini. Okay, so there's a question online. I'm sure you all know we have online guests as well. So while you're having physical breakfast here, we just asked them to make a cup of tea and anything else they'd like to have in their homes. So, and yes, there's been chairs online, but there's a question, and let me see, maybe anybody can take a shot at this question, okay? It's a question coming online. It says, what are you guys doing? As it is, I'm going to read it, okay? So, you know the way online life is. Those ones, savage, anything, is a different personality there. Okay, so I'm just going to read it as it came. So what are you guys doing about international payment systems? Why can't I pay for buying items using foreign currencies on Interswitch, Migo, and InCash, or even pay for services? I can buy dollars from Aboki on the street, but cannot buy in banks or online or on platforms like yours. Can't we deploy technology in this regard? Clara, put your hands together for the question. Huh?
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Okay, so who wants to take a shot at it? Okay, I like the way. Do you know what, Larry? I wanted to send the question to you, but I said, Nicholson, leave Larry alone. You know,
okay, play it out. I think the question is interesting. So, I would like to have access to Elon Musk's account. I would like to be brought here in a Bentley. I mean, there are many things I like, but not everything I can get. But the question is, why can't we get it? And I think some of it are regulatory, okay? Let's start with what the ask is. There's someone who really would like to be plugged into the global e-commerce system, but the person really doesn't have access or doesn't have the tools. And I think maybe the biggest structure in the global financial space is regulatory. And I know all of us feel like regulation is an headache, right? I mean, maybe not. You can't know, though. You know this is an industry event, and we can be broadcasting to the CBN. So we actually love regulation, right? Brilliant. We think that we think that regulation is the future, and it will take us to utopia. But guys, think about some of the greatest losses we have experienced in our lives the last 12 months in cryptocurrency. It was quite clearly due to the absence of regulation. So number one, regulation. Number two is the dynamics of this continent that we're in. I mean, I'm sure we all know that it's more expensive to deal in Africa than to deal outside of Africa. I mean, it defies logic. Imagine now you telling me to respond to something that defies logic with logic, my brother. So we're thankful that we're now shaping up Africa as a single market. I mean, AFCTA came up last year or 2 years ago. We're seeing way more integration within the African continent today than we used to. I know that Interswitch is, maybe today is still in the room, and there's some platform called Pan-African Payment Ecosystem that Interswitch is putting together that allows you to be able to do cross-border payment, cross-continental commerce in a way that you can use your local currency to access global services on this platform. Now, I know there's a race currently where, thank God for AFCTA, so it's provided the framework for continental commerce. But I know everybody's trying to figure out what technology will make it happen. We'll still have to play with currency. We're thankful, again, to the CBN, and I hope they're listening, that eNaira is breaking barriers, okay? eNaira is giving us some possibilities for cross-border payment. I know that some of the things going on in Accra has created some possibilities for us here also. There's ECDs, and there are possibilities for exchange today. My business, for example, within Interswitch, we're developing another solution that will help us answer some of the questions. But I'd like to end by saying regulation is great, it's transformative, I will continue to promote it. It's a good time to clap, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And I like the fact that you put it out there that at Interswitch we're actually doing something in this regard. So if we are doing something in this regard, means that every other fintech can actually jump on it and deliver the same service as well, seamlessly. So the question is, let's look into the future. A lot's going to happen. A lot's going to be done. Susan, do you want to say something?
I think to just add a bit of clarity again to the question is the fact that just yesterday or 2 days ago, CBN said something about the fact that NMPC that used to give us $3 billion suddenly has remitted $0 to the coffer. So what does that mean? We really do not have access to foreign exchange like we would do. So what typically happens prior to now when you use your Naira to do transactions online globally, someone pays for that money in foreign currency. It simply means that a bank nostro account is debited with the dollar equivalent. So imagine an economy where we really do not have so much inflow of foreign currency and all of us wants to shop abroad. What that simply means is that we'll begin to owe MasterCard, Visa card that have allowed merchants to part with value, right, for a particular goods and services that we probably would not have capacity to pay as Nigerians. So what that means, again, more than ever is how then do we as fintech begin to think of solutions that can allow remittances come into the country so that the coffers that stopped receiving about $3 million can begin to receive more, and then the banks can begin to open up the Naira card more than ever before. For some bank, it's $10 per month. I'm wondering what we can do with $10 per month, right? For some bank, you can't even do anyone at all. So I think in as much as fintech wants to innovate, right, the innovation should then begin to say, what can we bring in to bring in foreign exchange into our countries? And what solution are you actually trying to seek abroad? What can we then begin to develop to meet the local needs? I know some banks are beginning to do that. I pay this guy in dollars. Who is the local company that can help me solve the problem? So I think it's a clarion call for all of us, beyond you just trying to want to spend dollars, to see how then can we help the nation to attract foreign currencies so that we can begin to live our lives the way we used to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think there's another question behind. Okay, go ahead, please. And that hand has been up at the back for a while, so please let's get. But it's okay. Finally, we have a female question coming. Not being feminist or anything, I just recognize the fact that it's a female that's about to ask a question.
I was going to say choose your words wisely. Morning, everyone. My name is Fei Shayo. I work for Leseho. I thought it was quite interesting, the comment regarding partnership outside fintech, right? Talking about banks. And I just want to highlight, it's a quick one, is we're realizing that when piece of technology or access to data is being implemented or rolled out, we typically start with commercial banks. We need to change that narrative. And to you, Mr. Larry, when you were speaking earlier on and you were speaking about the importance of microfinance, I literally wanted to stand up and clap for you because this is literally what I preach every single day. If we're really going to grow Nigeria and change Nigeria, we literally have to find those solutions that tick the boxes for the grassroots. So my message is, please, as we're implementing these ideas, Susan, you mentioned about the fraud and collection methodology, please consider the microfinance banks and let it not just stop at the commercial banks. We need to change that narrative. Thank you.
Just to say I completely agree with you. I think the technology problem is more likely because most of the tech that we introduce in this market, a lot of the time, they come from the West. The implication is that the cost of acquisition, cost of deployment and support is quite heavy, and where we see the heavy finance is in the commercial space. But one of the things we are seeing that is growing now is indigenous technology. I mean, I loved what he said when he talked about sustainable growth. It is quite clearly that the possibilities for growth are in the microfinancing space. And I agree with you. If we really want to be transformative about our industry, we need to take transformation to where it's most needed, and it is that space. I just completely agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, just to respond, to say that the fraud solution we have is actually for the microfinance economy. Yes, it's a software as a service where you really do not need to invest in infrastructure. It's cloud-based, it's cloud-enabled. I think we can have that conversation with you once we're done. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's what I meant when I asked the question if it was accessible. So just like she said, it's accessible to all, and we're not, we're looking at the whole economy itself, the ecosystem itself, what we're looking to enable. So everybody, it's free for all. Let's jump on it and see how we can make our economy a better place. All right, so do we have any other question? Okay, yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Adebayo Adebola. We've listened to you talk so eloquently about collaboration, and which is a good thing. But what you've not told us is who starts this conversation. We are looking at the industry as a whole. And if we are looking to scale and at speed, we must think about the framework that should guide these conversations. So what are those frameworks that you are looking at, and the policy trust in terms of collaborating in the industry to make things work fast? Thanks.
Okay, I will just answer the first side of the question, because when you talk policy, it just goes a bit over my head. Then I'll allow my panelists to talk about it. Now, I think the question you asked very similarly looks like the question another gentleman asked and said, Interswitch, what are you doing? I think there's an assumption that there's some size and there's some scale that is required to lead change. I don't know. I mean, it's not a Nigerian thing, it's a global thing. When we think change can only be led by the bigger and the stronger, and so people think that, I mean, and this is not an affront to your question, I'm just making an attempt to answer it. So when somebody says, so you talk about collaboration, who should lead it? The question is, who can't lead it? Who shouldn't lead it? I mean, when that gentleman asked the question, I didn't want to add any further because Susan brilliantly asked it. I'll talk some bit about what Interswitch is really doing. And I don't want to, I'm not even trying to sell. The real stuff that Interswitch can do to make a difference is first maybe provide framework for policy, which, like I said, is a big question. Because of our size, because of our strategic position in the industry, we have a responsibility to the sustainability of the industry, but we also have a responsibility to continue to advise regulators about what is different and all that. So that is big, and Interswitch is playing some in that space. I know because I'm a bit closer to some of the initiatives. But beyond this, I think the biggest change Interswitch is trying to make is the culture change. I'll give you an idea. In the fraud space, for example, there are two kinds of technologies you can bring to make a difference. There are the preventive, proactive technologies where in digital identity, in onboarding, in verification, transformational technologies that are not in the industry today. So I'll give you an example. There's a policy framework for how people should be onboarded via digital channels today. But we know that there are gaps in the policy, and fraudsters exploit that process. I mean, when somebody opens an account, before you promote that person to a tier 1 account, after he's done his full KYC to a tier 3 account, people exploit it. So there are far-reaching technologies today that Interswitch is trying to sell. Of course, we can't sell because the policy doesn't support. We're trying to partner with banks. The banks will not adopt it because the policy is not there. But you know the reason why the industry resists those technologies? Because they are next generation technologies. So Interswitch is spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of resources in educating the industry to accept that there's a different way to do the same thing. And that is big. I mean, we're promoting products that are probably not getting sold. We're having meetings like this where, I mean, we've had almost 40, 50 minutes conversation, but we have not sold anything, right? And I'm supposed to account for my time today, eh? I'm supposed to make money. I've not made money, right? And you're doing the same. This is a lot of effort. A lot of it is shapeless, is formless, but is making a difference. And then the third one, which is far-reaching, is to say, look at all the losses we are making together. Look at all the value that our industry is losing. What tools can we put in? What infrastructure can we put in to reduce? But Interswitch is simply one player in the industry. You are one player. Everybody in the room is one player. And the truth is, if Interswitch is not doing enough, and I must say we are doing enough, but even if we are not doing enough, I suspect that if you did whatever it is that you can, in collaboration with what Interswitch can do, and the lady and everyone else on the panel, I believe it's in coming together that will not just shape the industry, but make really lasting, sustainable difference. I mean, that's how I see it. And I don't know if it solves all your question, but it's just my attempt at responding to it. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Do you want to make a comment?
Okay, so just to add to that, for the first part of the question, anybody can start the conversation, right? Like we're here, Interswitch has, set this up and is hosting this conversation. From time to time, different players in the industry will just get together and actually talk about what are the challenges we're facing, and some ideas about how we can work together, right, to push it. Now, today, there are so many things we would love that the regulators or the government actually pioneers, because we think, it will drive, for people to adopt it or that acceptance across the industry. But then if we keep waiting, at what point will that come to be? So, can like 3-4 different players actually start to do something? And by the time you build it to a certain level, we can then start to have conversations with the regulator to say, is this something that you can come to support? And this is how this actually creates value. So this is just to say that it can be started by anybody, as long as you're a player. 1 or 2 people, we start that conversation and then we can always build it up. And then in terms of influencing policy, like Larry said, yes, there is the impact of size in terms of how easily you can influence decision makers and things like that. But I'd also like to say that with where the regulators are today, as opposed to where they were when, the fintech and the startup space just started, they've come a long way. And they're also getting a lot more open in terms of having conversations with players in this space, right? So many times I know the default is to want to stay away from them, because it's when you go closer to them that they will start to see problems and poke holes and things like that. So the default is, no, let's move back. But I think even the regulators are, making attempts to start to position themselves as enablers, rather than just regulators or policemen. And so they're open to having these conversations. And from experience, in having some of these conversations with them, what we realize is that we're also influencing the way they are thinking about the way the sector should run. They are understanding about the kinds of business models that we want to, run within the fintech or the digital technology space, as opposed to their existing understanding of the more commercial bank business models. And the only way they can get more familiar with this and hence support us with the right policies and enabling environment is to actually have the conversations. And by doing that, we ourselves also get more insights onto how we can also navigate the regulatory and the policy environment. So this is just to say that, it's as simple as that, right? And this is not theory. This is actually from experience. There's as simple as just starting.
Thank you very much. And a round of applause to the panelists for all the answers they provided to the questions. I know we might want to go on and on with this, and there are more questions coming in. However, we'll come to the end of the panel session now. Okay, so put your hands together for my panelists. Thank you very much for joining. Please hold on. I think they just signaled me that we will have to take evidence to send to CBN for the comments you made and to the other regulators. So time to pose for pictures. All right. All right. Let's do this. Okay. Let me join you. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe later they want the panelists to another picture evidence behind. All right, so we're moving to the next thing on the agenda now, and that will be, we're going to take a nature break. So if you don't mind, I know you all have been sitting down for a while. You may just want to stand up, stretch, take a walk, restroom, go to the convenience, or maybe you can still grab, if there's still juice on the table, fruits on the table, you can also get something to eat or just refresh yourself. We'll be back in another 5 minutes and continue the conversation. Thank you very much, everyone.
Walking in the dark, seeing lovers do their thing.
Let's sit down. Let's sit down. We are behind schedule. I know the panel session was very interesting, but we had to stop it because we have shot beyond our time. I really want to appreciate every one of you for making out time to be at this event today. I understand your busy schedules, but you still made out time to come for it. I can see a lot of my friends around. Remember I said I'm farming people, you know. So, but I'm saying this because some of them are my friends, but some are meeting today, but I don't want you to feel left out. Okay, do we have everyone in? All right. Let me stand behind this podium. And how many of you follow Interswitch Spark online? Interswitch sponsors what would I call it now? An event online that has to do with academics. So we're going to have something similar to it. And let me tell you how it's going to run. So there's a link that's going to be shared with you now. You can just bring out your phones, and there you go, Slido. If your scanner can get here, you can scan it and just get into it. Or let's just join slido.com, and the passcode will be #1225204. Now I'm going to be asking some questions, and I guess your answers will come up. So I'm waiting for the first 5 tables to be ready. I like the way everybody's bringing out their phones and trying to scan QR. Once upon a time, this was a myth that you just, I'm in your way? Okay. Are we ready? If you're able to log into Slido, just wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go. 8, 9. Let's go. So I was at a conference yesterday, and the moderator started with something. She said she wanted to give us an icebreaker. I think I'm going to start using that icebreaker as well when I have engagements like these. And she said that I want you all to bring out a piece of paper and write the names of all the governors in the 36 states of Nigeria, the names of their wives, and also the slogan of their states. So, of course, every table went into action, right? We all were trying to dig out the names of all the governors and their slogans. Then it came down to the names of their wives. One table actually got it right. Guess what they did? They will write the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, right? Lagos State, the slogan is what? Center of Excellence. What's the name of his wife? Mrs. Sanwo-Olu. When they mentioned Soludo, they said Mrs. Soludo. When it was Udom, they said Mrs. Udom. So that's innovation now. Were they right or wrong? Were they right or wrong? They were very correct. Okay, I'm not going to mention the other part that some people mentioned at that place, but let's just go on. Okay, so do we have more people in Slido now? Can we all access it? Okay, please, can you just show them again on screen? We just have 3 more minutes to run this session, this exciting session now. Okay, if you're on Slido, just raise your hand once. I see you all at once. Okay, I think every table is represented. So, just make sure one person on your table is Slido, and all right, so my tech guys, we'll be able to view their answers. Can you make that possible? Yes, can you just open that now? So, because I'm going to start asking the questions. I have 6 questions, and what I want you to do is, it's going to be the fastest fingers, but this is how I'm going to measure it. You put your answers in the Slido and your name
beside it. So the first name beside it gets to win that question. Okay? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Or how did they say it at WWF? Are we ready to rumble? Okay. My first question. Okay. Okay. All right. That's it. Which of these fintech, or should I just say, which fintech company was the first Africa unicorn? Remember the answer and your name, or your name and the answer. You guys are not putting your names beside. Okay, I see. Toby, Aro, Chizu. Okay. Okay, so the first answer and the winner of this is Toby Aro. Interswitch was a unicorn before Paystack. All right, so, and yes, it was the first Africa unicorn before Jumia. I heard Jumia's deal didn't slide through on time, so Interswitch got it first. You're saying something else? Oh, you're saying ask a question. Ask a question as well. Okay, tech guys, help me here. Can you just slide again? You refresh twice. Okay. Okay, so, okay, let me see. Okay. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this less manual as possible because we're at a tech event. We should not be doing manual things. Okay, so the next question. When was the e-Naira launched by the CBN? Can this slide off so we can have a new screen? Can we have a new screen? You guys just slide it, slide, just slide it, just refresh your page. Okay, this is taking time. Let's make it manual. Okay, what table is going to answer first? When was the e-Naira launched by the CBN? Okay, first table. October, when? 2021, and that table gets the answer. All right. All I have here is October 2021. So I'm not going to forcefully figure out whether you're right or wrong because the answer I have here is October 2021. So yes, I'll give the answer to you. Okay, so my next question is, what year was Verve Card launched? What year was Verve Card launched? Okay. All right, go ahead, please. The table with the ladies. 2009. Good, correct. 2009. Next question. Which agency is the regulator of the Nigerian tech industry? You all heard when Larry was talking about regulators. Sometimes everybody's harassing CBN. But who, did I just say it? All right, go ahead. Okay. What did you call it? NDDC? NDDP? Okay, I have NDDP here. APC? PDP? What did you call it? NITDA. All right, so she was calling it in full. She was calling out what NITDA means. All right. So say it again, so they can know what NITDA is, because I like the short form as well.
National Information Technology Development.
Agency.
I was going to ask, where is the E now? All right, put your hands together for this table and that table as well. Okay. Okay, now for my final question. My final question. Are you ready for this final question? Okay, so the final question is, when was Interswitch established? Somebody said 2020. When was Interswitch established? People are going on Google. See you. See you. What you would have done?
2007.
2007.
2002.
You know what? You didn't have to go on Google. You've been hearing us shouting Interswitch at 20, Interswitch at 20. Just subtract 20. Oh, you're pressing calculator. For just 2 minus 1. Okay, so Interswitch is 20 years. Put your hands together for Interswitch. We're 20 years. We've been around that long. And 20 years of enabling the tech ecosystem. All right, so we're going to the next thing on, and put your hands together for yourselves. Thank you very much for participating. I apologize, we were unable to use tech to do this, even though some were getting through, some weren't. Now, those are the things that we experience in tech, right? So whenever you say that, the application you guys did is not working, is not going, there's downtime, my banking app is not working, is this and that. You just saw one live now. So this is a live experience. So that means that we just need to keep working at it till we get it right. So thank you very much once again. Put your hands together for yourselves. Okay, so for the next thing we're going to do now is, I want you to put your hands together for Obiora Izika. He's the Business Development Manager for Mobile Financial Services. And he's coming to take us on a product called MBAAS, Mobile Banking as a Service. Put your hands together for Obiora.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And we've listened to a number of speakers as well as the panelists, and I want to believe that we're having an insightful time this morning. My name is Obiora, and I work with the mobile financial services business at Interswitch. So today, I'm here to speak to us on, at MFS, we have a number of propositions, right? But today, basically, we'll be talking about 2 major solutions for the purpose of this event. And those 2 solutions are MBAS, like he mentioned earlier, and our digital banking suite. Now, MBAS, let me just break it down. It simply means mobile banking as a service. It's a shared platform, multi-tenant, that we've provided to allow OFIs, MFBs access to mobile services without making a lot of investments in technology and worrying about support and maintenance. We know that in Nigeria today, the economy is very volatile, and taking a cue from the theme of today's event, which is accelerating growth and profitability, we at MFS will come up with solutions that enable MFBs and OFIs to leverage on technology to do what? To accelerate this growth and technology. So what's the story and why is this important? I believe that we need to understand the story so that we get more context, and also for us to understand the journey so far that Interswitch has made, right? So Interswitch this year is 20 years, and we've come a long way and we've done a number of things. In the year 2016, we embarked on a visionary acquisition, and we acquired Vanzo, which at the time was the biggest mobile technology company that serviced banks and provided them with mobile banking applications. We can see a number of big banks that they serviced at the time. And with this acquisition, we took in those banks into our portfolio as well. Afterwards, we set out on a mission to equally expand that portfolio, and we started onboarding smaller banks, and we were able to achieve a number of banks in that exercise. But in the year 2019, we embarked on a strategic mission, and that mission was to begin to build apps, to begin to service MFBs and OFIs. And the reason for that is very simple. It's because we have realized the potentials for those MFBs in being able to deepen financial access, as well as providing services to the last mile within the Nigerian economy. And that is one of the reasons why we came up with this platform that we call Embers. This platform, like I said earlier, is multi-tenant, is a shared platform, and it takes away that issue of, we've observed over time that MFBs have, which is that challenge of cost of infrastructure, making that technology investment, and also worrying about the resources to continue to maintain and support those platforms. So what we've done is to come up with a platform that solves all of this, right? And with just an investment of ₦1 million, you can deploy the mobile channel and begin to make monies from that channel, and also support your customers and ensure that they have access to their accounts 24 hours, 7 days a week. That is what we've been able to do. And this has taken care of those challenges, like having to spend a lot of months on development of custom applications, as well as making that technology investment. So we looked at the structure of the microfinance industry, and we observed that it is bottom heavy. You realize that out of the over 1,000 MFBs today, 900 or 900 plus operate within the unit MFB Tier 1, Tier 2 space. And this solution speaks to them particularly. And I'm also speaking particularly or specifically to people in this room who are yet to patronize us and to tell us the reason why this proposition is compelling and why you should be speaking to us. I already explained what Embers is. So I said it's a multi-tenant shared platform. Onboarding is seamless and fast. Within 3 weeks of providing us with all the requirements and APIs, we're able to onboard you. Today, we have this application on major stores, Android and iOS, and you can always search and download after we onboard you so that your customers can continue the onboarding journey from there. We provide you with a unique experience. I'll just show us what the look and feel of our application is like. And to top it up, we continue to provide you with the required support post-deployment. That way, we ensure that your services are up and running 99.99% of the time. So this is what the interface looks like, the UI looks like. We can see the look and feel. And today, we already have a number of MFBs onboarded on this platform, and we are happy to speak to you after this session to explain in detail what our offering is and why you should buy into it. So these are some of the features. They are standard features on every mobile app. I won't be dwelling on that. So on to the second one, which is our digital banking suite. Now, this caters to people or clients who want more than just the Embers solution. So this can work for smaller banks or the Tier 1 banks as well. Basically, what we offer you at Interswitch beyond these features and capabilities is our ability to bring to bear our technology experience in developing apps, and as well as that capacity that we have to aggregate as much financial services as possible on different applications that we develop today. We believe that is the reason why you should speak to us or consider our proposition. Now, these are some of the standard features. We all use mobile apps today, and we know what the features are. We have a very strong R&D department, and we're always working consistently to come up with new features that make the experience seamless for your respective customers. Now, one of the good news is this: if you have any solution today or a feature from a third-party provider, and you can provide us with an API, we're able to bring it on board your application, and you begin to service your customers with it. So these are some of the applications we've built. This is a portfolio of the different banks that we've serviced today as well. To conclude, we equally provide internet banking services, corporate banking, as well as USSD, right? So to conclude, if you're a microfinance bank and you want to take up the Ember solution, it makes a perfect sense for you, because it takes away that burden of you having to spend a lot of millions on investment for technology, and also to continue to spend on maintenance and support. It takes care of that, and in 3 weeks or less, your application is in the store and your customers can begin to onboard and access their accounts via the mobile application. Now, if you're an institution that wants more than shared platforms, we also have the custom digital banking suite that we can provide to you. But beyond that, we're able to also offer you new innovations, recent technology trends, and one of them will be our omni-banking proposition, where we are able to offer you multiple platforms or multiple channels on one platform, right? And this saves you the investment that you'd have made to create platforms and maintain them for things like maybe internet banking, mobile banking, USSD, etc. To end it, right, I would say that at Interswitch, we have 3 major commitments. Firstly, we are committed to working with you to provide you with technology that helps you accelerate growth and profitability. Secondly, we are committed to providing you with superior customer service and experience. And finally, we also remain committed to providing you with ongoing post-deployment support. So thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So for the questions, because of the
failed transactions, insufficient funds, downtime, timeout, things like that. You get to see it from this dashboard. You can see the ATMs in service, ATMs out of service. You can see the transaction amounts on a daily, monthly, weekly, hourly basis, and within a period of time as well. You can also dimension that. You can see a transaction breakdown, cash withdrawal, quick teller airtime, and even within the Interswitch ecosystem, you can tell your position. You can say, as Let's Go, as far as transaction or cash withdrawal is concerned today, I'm number 5 on the Interswitch ecosystem and number 4. So this gives you ability to see more, do more from a few clicks. Every button, you can make an informed decision, and that's the idea behind this. So, we're going to be introducing this to the market, first to our customers already on board our solution, and then to prospective customers. Then, the second part of my presentation, which is around, the drive to collaborate, right? And you agree with me that in financial services today, the part that the trenches that people don't really see, the part of that people don't really see is back office. That's where the operational guys are, the settlements, the reconciliation team. They do a lot of work, right? And if your business is running smoothly, it's not mainly because of just the guys in the front office, right? You have to give kudos and credit to the guys in the back office, because if something goes wrong there, then you lose so much money in so little time, right? And that's why we thought as well it is important to introduce in the market a reconciliation solution. Right, and what does this do? First of all, it is available as a software as a service, so you don't need to, own the solution, buy it. It's quite expensive, so we leave that to the guys that can afford it. But for the guys in this sector, the fintechs, the microfinance banks, OFIs, this is as a service, and basically, the idea is today you have someone log on to a platform, downloads a report, a settlement report, goes on to another platform, downloads another report, goes on to another platform. These new reports can be in several formats. You then have to convert it into Excel or something they can work with. That's just before it starts reconciling against what is in this core banking application, right? And then you find this taking 2-3 hours to close. Everybody in the bank or everybody in the company has gone home, but your recon officer is still at work past 5, is coming to the office on Saturday, right? So what is this supposed to do, right? It's supposed to take those different information sitting in different servers, it downloads it in whatever formats they are in, it downloads it, matches it against whatever other data that you need it to match against, and in under 15 minutes, what you do for 2 hours can be achieved with this tool, right? I must say, and I like to say this as well everywhere else I've made this presentation, that this is the tool that we use as well at Interswitch to reconcile our transactions. And considering the volumes that we process, second, right, if it can work effectively at Interswitch, best believe that it's going to handle whatever transaction volumes that you have. So this is also available, as I said earlier, as a service, cheap and cheerful, and you can always reach out or to anyone from Interswitch and available today to take this conversation further. We can walk you through a demo, work with something that gives you an insight, and then you can decide to go with it. The next one is our Interswitch Security as a Service solution. This is as well a solution that we've thought about, for this sector, and we think it is important to make it available as a service. My colleague Susan on the panel has spoken a lot about this, fraud prevention and all that, so I wouldn't really touch much on this, but basically the idea is we see the advent of fraud growing heavily in our environment, right? And if a customer walks into your branch and tells you that, oh no, I slept last night with 500,000, not 500,000 too much, 30,000 naira in my account, and I woke up this morning, I can't find 30,000 naira. You will be surprised at that 30,000 naira. It will pain and you'll be like, bro, it's just 30. But it will pain the guy so much that it will destabilize even you for that day. So we decided to introduce this. This has an artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm built into it. So over time, it studies the behavior of a customer. So if we see Stoby always coming, to withdraw 5,000 naira, withdraw, 10,000 naira, at the end of the month, he gets a salary of 500,000 naira and all that, right? And all of a sudden, he sees me withdrawing 500,000 naira every minute. Right, this is unlike Toby because it has built and studied Toby over time with its artificial intelligence algorithm. It can start flagging transactions like that. No, this is not Toby. Let me put the call through. I bank with a Pan-African bank, and every time I go to a merchant or an ATM and I try and withdraw, and I put in a wrong PIN. I mean, it's my PIN. I just maybe make a mistake. The next thing I get is a phone call from the bank, telling me that, we realize that you did this, is that you and everything. So, I always just feel comfortable that this bank has my best interest at heart. And, it's because of solutions like that allow you as a customer, as a bank, as a fintech, as a financial institution, to be able to make those type of proactive decisions. So, yeah, that's, okay. Finally, this is a topic that needs to be had. I feel like in our industry today, we know this is a major topic. However, we don't think it is as important. We don't take it as important as we should take it, and that's data. If in financial transactions, the secondary output of every financial transaction is data, right? Write your name down, your age, I think it was also discussed on the panel, how important data transfer, data storage, data processing is important. And in our usual light, we brought, to you an enterprise in partnership with one of the world-leading OEMs, an enterprise data protection solution that enables safe and sustainable digital transformation. And what does this solution do, basically? This is a slide that shows you data breaches that have been reported, over the past couple of years. It's not really clear, but you will see somewhere there, Facebook, 420 million, I think Twitter as well had a data breach. And until you have been breached or you have been hacked, you will not really know the importance of having a solution like this in place, right? So this is a real problem because you don't want your customers' data getting into the wrong hands and someone is, using it for the wrong things. So we advise fintechs, industrial companies, OFIs, banks to invest in a solution that helps protect their data. I know on the panel as well, it was clear that we have an NDPR, GDPR regulatory body that controls how we store, process, and make use of data. So we are bringing this to you. Also, a cloud-ready solution. And what does it do for you? It has the capacity to find sensitive data across enterprise. One of the biggest challenge, if there are any data analysts in the room, is finding the data first, right? Especially for enterprise data. And this solution, has that capacity to do that. It protects all types of data, structured, unstructured data. It protects all types of data. It is in compliance with those regulatory bodies I mentioned, NDPR, GDPR, and the likes. And it also controls access to that data. Who has access to data? Who can work with that data? Who can use that data for business, right? So if you ever need a solution, to manage your data at an enterprise level, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That brings me to the end of my presentation, and we'll take questions after. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toby. So we probably just hold on, and I think, do we have questions for the first and the second speaker? Do we have questions? There's a mic here if you need to get a mic. Do we have questions? Do we have any questions online? I don't want you guys to lose your chain of thought, so if you have questions for either OBR's presentation or, okay, there's a question. Okay, someone is coming to you with a microphone. So we have one question there. Another, two.
Hi, sorry, just a quick one for the first gentleman, please.
Okay, so can you please come up?
He doesn't have to come up.
Okay, let's get the mic across to him then.
So the 3 weeks, does that include integration? The 3 weeks you quoted as your overall timeline? So integration with like core banking systems?
All right, so 3 weeks, so long as you're able to provide us with all the APIs in line with the specifications, provide us your brand collaterals, in 3 weeks you should go to store.
Okay, and does that also include personalization and just making sure the UI is actually working for the organization?
Like I mentioned earlier, is a multi-tenant platform, right? So when you log on, from the drop-down, you select the name of your MFB, and once that is clicked, then the branding changes to your color, logo, and feel. So you provide us with the color codes and all that. Within 3 weeks, we're good to go. All right, thank you. Thanks. Thank you. And then the second question, I didn't actually catch, what was ISAAS? I actually didn't catch the first part.
The first.
ISAAS, what is S?
ISAAS.
Yeah, what is it?
Security.
Right, okay, thank you. I actually didn't catch that. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I think there's one more question. Probably the last for this. Okay, two. Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Busayo. Work from First Trust Mortgage Bank. Please, my question is on that mobile apps at the onboarding. I want to ask: is it only meant for the retailing? What about we have the retailing, I mean the other one for the corporate body. Do we have, do you onboard customers on the OFI for that again?
All right, thank you for that question. On the Embers platform, we onboard retail and SME, right? You know, when you mention corporate, it makes it sound a bit complicated. So yes, your SME customers can onboard and they can transact, as well as retail. Thank you. So to onboard,
yes. So to onboard, what is the cost implication for the retailing and the SME also?
It's not priced differently. So you just pay us ₦1 million, we onboard you, and your customers have access. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I see the questions are rolling in now. Okay, we'll take 2 more, and if you have further questions, you can save it. Let's take the lady, then we'll take the gentleman after. Thank you.
Okay, my question is on the reconciliation solution. So I want to ask, do we still need to go to Interswitch portal, other portals to download the report before uploading? And also go to our core banking to also download and upload? Or is it something that will be connected to these solutions? We just go there, select a date, and we're done with our reconciliation.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So, I mean, because these portals are external portals, right, you need to download those information. For the guys that are already on our platform today, ASPFP, right, that connection is already there. So you don't need to have those, to log in into those multiple portals. But for the customers that are just connecting for reconciliation, because you have probably your Scheme, your NIBS portal, you have Interswitch portal, all sitting on different servers, you need to do that function of downloading before it then reconcile. Okay. Yes. 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 No, for the core banking, no, that's an external portal. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, sorry. Should I say the response you gave to him? I think I understood his question in a separate way. So I want to ask you, what he's trying to say, what I think he's trying to say. Let's say you have the mobile app. Now you have a corporate entity. On our CBS, for a corporate account, you should have a 2-signatory to that account. So are you saying they can just download the mobile app and use it and it will work? Who will authorize? Who is the maker? Who is the checker? And where are the checks?
all right, just thank you for that. Just to give more clarity, he said corporate and I responded with SME. Right? So when we talk corporate, you know that there's a maker, checker, imputer, authorizer, and things like that. So that platform does not support corporate. If you have a need for corporate, that means we move you to our digital banking suite. It means you have enough capacity, and we can come up with a solution that suits your budget and your client base. But for Embers, it's strictly for retail and SME, and by SME I mean single signatory SMEs. That way we don't run into the risk of either both to sign multiple signatories and it becomes complicated. Thank you.
Okay, let's take one. The gentleman, please.
My question goes to Obiora again. So you mentioned the 1 million integration fee. Is it a one-off thing, or are there quarterly or annual maintenance fees applicable?
Thank you for that. So the 1 million naira is a one-off payment. However, we have an annual resubscription fee of 500,000. We can also give you the option of revenue share if is a route that you like to take. We're open to that as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please, if you have further questions, when we go for lunch, you can catch Obiora or Oluwatobi. So we'll go to the next product presentations. All right, okay. We're going to the next product presentations.
Put your hands together for welcome Emmanuel Ebomilen to take our product Card Fusion. Please put your hands together for Emmanuel.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I would be speaking to us on our product, Interswitch Card Fusion. Just as the name implies, it's a web-based instant card issuance solution that allows you to issue cards in minutes and then, of course, control your card stock. Because of time, I'll just go a little bit faster. So why Card Fusion? I know today we are very much used to requesting for cards at financial institutions. For some of them, they ask you to come back in a few days, send you a text message when your card is ready, and then you just walk into the card and pick it up and probably do your PIN change at the bank. For some, they can instantly issue you that card on the spot. This speaks to the instant card issuance, which allows MFBs, fintechs to also do the same capacity as well. Some of the advantages is that in the market, for that kind of method I initially mentioned, you need to have some stock, pre-personalized cards, and then of course wait for your clients or wait for your customers to come in to pick them. If those cards are not properly or not well utilized, they become a waste at some point in time. Also, it's there's a lot of manual intervention, for sensitive details like card. And in my former life, you hear a customer say, "I'm suspecting the person that gave me the card that probably did some form of hanky-panky in my account." No, this one won't happen in this one. I'll show you the architecture so that you can understand how it would eventually work. Sometimes no transparency, sometimes no audit trail, but some of these things are already addressed with the Card Fusion solution. Some of the things you'll be able to do, you'll be able to generate card data, you'll be able to upload, set up a card management system. It helps with the chip data preparation. So it's, in terms of card personalization, it takes away the peso bits of the card issuing process today. Because you would have in your printer that has already been set up in such a way that your cards are already pre-personalized on it. So every time you want to issue your card, it comes out the way you want it to come out. Let me move forward. I already mentioned some of the features. Let me go straight to the architecture. So I'll dwell a little bit on this slide. How does it work, basically? Remember I mentioned to you that it is a web-based solution. I don't have a pointer here. Okay, so the circle, the red boxed circle, is actually the front end, which shows exactly how the process works. We would be deploying to you a web-based solution that allows you to be able to request for the card. What then happens is that the card request goes, it goes to the back office, allows you to easily generate the card data, moves it to our postillon, helps you to generate some of the data preps on the chip, and then finishes up at our smart card process server. And then, of course, in perhaps 3, 4, 5 minutes, the card comes out from the printer. So there are specialized printers for this that allows you to do this particular solution. The printer, as I already mentioned, has already been set up with your personalized details. The back office aspect has helped you to put up helped you to upload the card data chips on those cards, and then of course, the customer receives either a PIN mailer, or he can easily change his PIN directly at your branch with the POS machines that are detailed to do some of those things. What are the benefits? It allows your customers to get service on time. It helps with trust. It also helps you to push your card solutions out there. Transactions can be easily done. It improves your customer experience. Some of the things it does is that your customers can now visit any of your branches if you have branches scattered across the country and easily pick up their cards when they want to do so. It also has an impact on your transaction volume. So for some reason, once your customers are spending using your card, your transactions volumes continue to increase, which also impacts your revenue overall. The next step, simple. We've just obtained the necessary approvals to get that done for you. You also need to get the specialized printers from the basic vendors. And then, of course, Interswitch will then set you up. So I'll take questions now.
All right, thank you for making it very short and brief. Emmanuel, stick around. We'll take the next presentation, then we'll take the questions together for the next. So what he's just done for you now is that you can now produce your cards by yourselves. Okay, so is Kolawole around? Is he ready? All right, please, Kolawole, please come and let's quickly dish out what you have for us. By the way, are we getting the vibe of some of the products that we're putting out here? So we have a lot, okay? But this is just some. And I know we've had events where we've talked about quite a number of them, but we want to talk about these ones that we've not touched on in a while. So prepare your questions. Don't be shy to ask your questions. We'll take your questions. After Collar's presentation, we'll take questions for the card fusion and what Collar has to present. Put your hands together for Collar, will you?
Okay, you guys are not clapping loud enough. All right, okay, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kola Ololoke. I'm from the Digital Interactive Commerce Group, and I'll be taking the presentation on the integrated messaging business. So, what is interactive commerce? Interactive commerce basically has to do with the intersection between messaging and shopping. So I'll be taking a brief presentation on this solution. So over the past few years, we've witnessed a very high surge in different messaging platforms. It will be very perplexing to ask how many of us here use WhatsApp. But I think if I ask how many of us do not use WhatsApp, I think that would be a very interesting question. So how many of us do not use WhatsApp here? Okay, I can see no hands up. So that basically goes to show how well these platforms have actually gone to immerse in our day-to-day activities today. So same thing with platforms like Twitter. We've witnessed a very upsurge in this kind of platforms and how well they've been able to shape us. So that's looking at it from a consumer perspective. We've also seen the upsurge in the business perspective, how we can use these platforms to also grow our business communications. Most of the consumers today, they actually want to understand how well they're actually utilizing their financial solutions, how to communicate with them, how to embed these solutions, and how well they are using it today. So I'll be taking a brief presentation on our platforms, what we're actually offering as regards communication, how to endear yourself with your customers, and of course, intimate yourself with them, using one of the, of course, best-known platforms, a very ubiquitous platform that works regardless of the kind of smartphone you are using. In Nigeria today, just barely over 30% of mobile phone users use smartphones. So that goes to show how well a large chunk of them are not using phones that enable them have access to data and internet. So it's, of course, very essential to have to utilize a solution that actually works regardless of the kind of smartphone you are using. So the platform I'm going to be speaking about is pretty much the Interswitch messaging service. So our service here today is the SMS solution that works regardless of what platform you are using. Whether you are an 18-year-old person trying to get your allowance or jam notification, or a 60-year-old person trying to get notification about your pension alert, this platform just works. So moving forward to the presentation. So the Interswitch messaging solution is an A2P solution. That's application to phone solution that enables you terminate messages to your clients. You're able to reach out to them. You engage your customers regardless of the kind of platform they are using. It is powered by Vanso. Vanso is the entity in Interswitch that actually powers the solution, and we have the capability to assist you and, of course, yourself, your platforms to actually terminate these messages regardless of the number of customers you have. We have the capability to terminate messages to over 1 million customers, and we've been doing this for over a decade. We've been in this business for over a decade, and of course, we've been doing this very successfully. And of course, as usual with Interswitch, we're a market leader. We've actually been able to understand different trends in the banking, microfinance bank, fintechs, and we've worked with different clients to understand the use cases and, of course, grow their market share with them. We understand how useful this messaging business is, even beyond just debit or credit notifications. It's also useful as regards expanding your market share. That's one of the, of course, biggest use cases for most of our clients today, even beyond just sending transactional or promotional notifications to your clients. You also want to increase and expand your market share. And of course, over a decade-year experience, we are willing to work with you to move with this. So this slide is speaking to the different key building blocks for this solution. So you can see here we've actually reflected these different use cases. Like I said, we're able to work with you with the different segments. We understand there are different segments within a bank or a fintech that actually utilize the services. You have your team that will be looking to send out transactional alerts, promotional alerts. And of course, there are teams that are looking to use it for campaign purposes, using it to just expand your different notifications and also point out your new product to your clients. Of course, you have clients today that are looking to get and know more about your solutions, different offerings you have to offer. So we can work with you to, of course, expand on this and move on this. So this platform today, we've deployed for different segments: microfinance bank, fintech, insurance, utilities. Regardless of the sector you are playing in today, of course, there are different use cases for you. And we're willing to work with your team to see how we can expand and move further on this. So we have a dashboard. The platform is very intelligent. You're able to see the different message delivery status in the different formats. So expired, delivered, undeliverable. There are different meanings. So there are some times where you can get status like undelivered. That's not pending on us. Like I said, we've never had a downtime over a decade experience here. We've never had a downtime before. So the only downtime we usually have from the telcos, and that's not pending on us. So like I always say, MTN, Airtel, Glo, and iMobile, they sort of operate a sort of oligopolistic competition. So if MTN is having a downtime, there's pretty much nothing we can do about that. So we just have to wait for them to get up. But from our own end, that's supplying the infrastructure to you to move this, to enable this to your customers. From our end, we experience no downtime at all. And we can provision this service. So we can give you a reporting dashboard. You get to experience a reporting dashboard. You can see different messaging status. So if your customer is out of a network coverage, we have different SLAs for some of these MNOs, that's mobile network operators. They're saying, okay, like Airtel, for example, they can say, okay, they will try to deliver messages to your customers for like 48 hours. So if your customer is out of network coverage for this period, there's pretty much nothing they can do about that. So once they try delivering the messages to you and your customer is out of network coverage, it might not deliver. So you get the message status undelivered, and that's the explanation. So of course, we have a worksheet where we've detailed out these responses, but regardless of this, we still have over a 95% delivery rate for most of our customers today in different messaging segments. And we also have APIs that we can provision to you. Available in the major programming stacks: Java, Python, JavaScript, whatever language you want, whatever language your architecture is built in. We have this APIs that we can, of course, provision to you to just integrate with your internal networks. So, like I said, there are different use cases: payment authentication, loan confirmation. It just depends on what kind of services you offer. If you're an insurance company, via utility segments, most of the big utility segments like the discos, regardless of what you do, we have use cases for you today. You want to terminate messages, even if it's downtime notifications, payment alerts, downtime alerts, just to notify your customers and, of course, carry them along. Like I had said, just barely over 30% of mobile phone users have smartphones. So it's very imperative to also focus on the remaining 70%. And 90% of purchases today, I mean, based on the recent reports, are actually made offline. So of course, it's very, very crucial to, of course, have a strategy that sort of endears your online and offline community. So what better platform than SMS? Because regardless of this platform, it does not work, it does not rely on data, does not rely on anything. It just, pretty much works. Moving forward to the next slide. So this is speaking to the key service features. You can see it's a very scalable platform. Scalable in the sense that regardless of the number of volumes you do, it just, it's pretty much works. So we have banks today that we have, so looking at the industry segments, the biggest pusher of volumes to our gateway actually the banks. That's the commercial banks. And that's because, of course, they have the largest volumes. They have the largest customers from a B2C perspective. So we have instances where, of course, some of these banks, they will have two vendors from their own, and that's just to create a sort of failover, just in case there's a downtime from our end. So we have some times where they mention this from a very equal perspective, that's 50-50. But regardless, most times when they experience downtime from the other vendors, they push it to our gateway. So 100% running from either banks, our platform is pretty much able to carry it, and that's because we have a very scalable platform that regardless of the downtime issue you're experiencing, regardless of the number of volumes you are willing to push to our gateway, we are able to carry these platforms. And also, it's very fault tolerant. Regardless of the number of upgrades we're also experiencing, you have platforms today that if you're experiencing upgrades or you are making upgrades to it, there's a downtime for a limited amount of period, but our platform, you don't have this kind of issues. It just pretty much works for you. And also, continuous support. So provision 24/7 support to you. We understand that, regardless of the number of commercials, it's also very important to have support because in as much as our platform is very up and running, support is also very important because you might have some sort of support issues that you want to just provision to us. So we don't charge for support. We just charge you for, of course, the messaging and that. And that's the same commercial model we get from the telcos. So we just replicate that model to you and your customers. But for support, we work with you. We're also able to provision 24/7 support to work with you and your, of course, customers. So this is a quick snapshot of the value proposition to our customers and speaking to the onboarding process. So the onboarding process is very easy today. We just share you our form. Once you fill the form, we move it to our technical team that they just do a scoping of the platform and, of course, check if we need to do a whitelisting. So whitelisting is if you're a financial institution as regulated by the NCC, you need to undergo a process of whitelisting your sender ID. So that's to avoid fraudulent transactions. So you get transaction alert from First Bank, Access Bank today. That's because the sender ID has been whitelisted. So whitelisting basically means authorizing these sender IDs to be able to send message to you. So that takes about an average of 2 weeks. If it's going to be extended beyond that, it's pretty much maybe just from MNOs like Airtel. They take a while because they have a sort of longer internal process. But of course, we have very good relationships with them, and we've been able to leverage this over time to be able to, of course, fast track this process depending on how urgent it is to you and your customers. But there are some other use cases where it might not need to be whitelisted, like just sending out promotional messages. In that instance, we're of course able to work with you and your customers to just quickly fast track this process and get to your board and sending out these messages. So there are different use cases, like I mentioned, loan confirmation, where you're just looking to send out loan to your customers. Of course, just notify them about your new loan service or new products. Different use cases really that, of course, we've been able to establish over the time working in this space. And then, of course, we're willing to work with you to just, show you these use cases and expand your market share whilst doing this. So you can see, transforming real-time accurate and rich business portal. So there's a business portal where you can just get in, maybe the admin of your company, you can just get access to a rich-time dashboard where you're able to, of course, provision the different admin details. And you're able to just start going live. And of course, we are able to integrate to your backend, regardless of your core banking application. We're able to work with you and, of course, develop an in-house architecture. So we have customers today that might say, okay, we have our core banking application. that's pushing out our SMS, but we're willing to go to SMS. We are willing to integrate with you directly to just maybe get a better cost. We are able to do that. We can develop an in-house architecture for you that would, of course, make this process very seamless. And of course, you're able to get very good commercials. So we have aggregators today that buy directly from us and resell to other customers. So that goes to show how well our commercials are. Very industry class. We even have most of the MNOs. The biggest MNO in the industry today is MTN, over 60% market share in Nigeria. And we have them, of course, referring customers to us. That goes to show how good our commercials are. And we're willing to work with you, of course, to relay this sort of insights to you. So this slide speaks to the strength of our service network. So we can see that we are integrated to over 700 networks. So beyond Nigeria, we develop beyond, we actually terminate messages beyond Nigeria, so not just local delivery. We understand that some of your customers might actually be outside of Nigeria and wanting to receive their messages. Of course, we know how important these transactional and promotional alerts are to some of them, and we're willing to work with you. We have over 700 direct and indirect integrations that can support terminations to these customers. And also, this also goes across 157 countries. So these 700 plus networks across 157 countries, and we deliver at an average of 500 million. In fact, it's going to 600 million now. So this is sort of 600 million transactions in a month. So this is industry standard, and we're actually number one in the industry today, based on data we've been able to secure from the MNOs, and that goes to show how very efficient and up our platforms are. And of course, this is across 19 industry segments. Like I've said earlier, microfinance banks, fintechs, most of the commercial banks, insurance, pension companies, we of course provision the messaging service for today. This slide just reflects this is just a quick overview of our dashboard. Like I said, it's a very scalable and fault-tolerant platform. You're able to see the messages in different pictorial formats. So whether you want your pie charts, bar charts, histogram, regardless of the format of platforms, you are able to just spool this report, see the numbers, and of course track the different messages status. And of course, when it comes to promotional messages, you're able to see your return on investments, because when you're making these campaigns, you want to be able to track who it has gotten to, how far the messages have gone, what the delivery status are. So we understand this, and of course, we have you covered as regards this. So speaking to, of course, other messages, like when you look at like I said about WhatsApp earlier. So WhatsApp is very generic, but of course, it's very dependent on data. And of course, we know that there's WhatsApp for Business today that, of course, enables you to be able to deliver messages on WhatsApp. But the downtime here, we are working with a partner, or we're working with a partner today that can enable you deliver messages to platforms beyond SMS. We are still building that solution, so you're able to deliver to WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook via a single API that would allow, and of course, enable you with this connection. But the only issue we're experiencing as regards this is because of the pricing. So they have a universal pricing. That's the approach they are taking at the moment. So you are paying in USD, and you are paying about 40-something naira to deliver just one message on WhatsApp. So even though, of course, we are hearing about WhatsApp for Business, terminating messages via WhatsApp for Business, but the issue is the pricing. There's not a lot of business cases where you want to terminate messages for just 14 naira per message. So I don't know, is there anybody that willing to terminate messages, just one message for 14 naira per message? Is there anybody here? So that's the thing, but pending where they're able to, of course, accomplish that pricing segmentation, we are, of course, working with our different partners to see when this can be achieved. But pending that, SMS is pretty much the best platform for that, because it's very universal, and it just works for the use cases that we are trying to achieve with it. So that will be all for my presentation, and I'm available to take any questions.
Thank you. Wow, that was a long one. We had to get it for a caller. I know you had a lot to talk about. It's a very interesting service. But one thing I wanted to ask is, does that mean that they can buy it and extend it to their customers? Yes. So they can be a service provider? Yes. Okay, all right, great. Okay, I'd like to take quick questions for both caller and Emmanuel. Maybe one or two questions. From the Card Fusion presentation and this integrated messaging presentation. Okay, there's a question there. 1, 2. All right, just take two questions.
Okay, my name is Taufik from VBank. My question on the SMS presentation is that what is the cost of the OTP and SMS for one SMS sent to a customer? As in, if I subscribe to you now, what is the cost to the organization that subscribed to you? And second question goes to the card fusion guy on the instant card issuance. What is the cost also for the installation of that card from the start to the finish to the organization? That's it.
Do we want to discuss cost here, or you want to do it during lunch?
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you for the question. So
it's better to discuss money when everybody's eating, so that
sure, I agree with
tempers
that.
will not flow into it.
Sure.
He can understand you, and you can understand him as well.
Sure. So really, I mean, pretty much our pricing is pretty much a volume-banded pricing. So depending on your volumes, I mean, we are able to accord the pricing to that, and that's the same model we get from the telcos. So of course, I can meet with you to just, have a further conversation around this. But I think we have VBank on our platforms today. So I would like to also meet with you to, of course, discuss expansion possibilities.
And everybody else that wants to discuss that as well can catch up with Kola, VBank, and during lunch, okay? We'll be going for lunch very soon. I'm emphasizing that so I can buy your confidence that we're here together, okay? All right, for Emmanuel, probably you may want to also book an appointment during lunch.
Yeah, so that's fine. I think we can also sit during lunch, so when tempers are down.
Okay. All right, I did that because I want to take a question from this angle as well, all right? Just a second.
Yes. My name is Chris from Jubilee Life Mortgage Bank. In respect to the XMS, I wanted to ask if it's only limited to XMS or not email or other form of messages. That is one. And what is the subscription? Is it unlimited? Probably the units. And in terms of the characters, the length, okay, is it also customized? Do you have a particular length or particular character that the message can deliver at the same time? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So as regards the number of service offerings, if it expands to email, like I said, we are exploring that with our partners today. But as a stand, of course, the only service up and running is the SMS platform, and that's because that has the highest number of use cases and, of course, the highest number of reach. But we're still exploring other platforms that we can, of course, expand beyond just offering messaging services. As it goes to, sorry, what's the other question? Okay, yeah, you have limited number of validity, or limited number of validity, sorry. So even though we get about 30 days validity from the telcos, when we are returned to our customers, we don't have validity for the customers. So if you buy, regardless of the number of units you have, you're able to use it anytime you want. There's no validity period to it. You're able to just use it. Yeah. Is that all? Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. So we'll be calling on the next presenter. Okay. Don't worry, we're catching up with time, so everybody we'll go for lunch. And by the way, we're going to be having award presentations today as well. We're going to be presenting awards, some partnership awards. And for those of you trying to get the contacts of the panelists, you can just check if you have the agenda. Their names are on it. You can always access them on LinkedIn and reach out to them on LinkedIn, and you can get their contacts. And also, one more thing, maybe before we go on, before the next presenter comes up, there is something on your table right in the middle. There's a QR code in the middle of your table. Okay, just the same way we were able to scan the other time, I'd like you to just scan the QR code on your table. Yes, it contains the lunch menu, so you can pick out what you're going to have for lunch. Don't worry, I'm not telling lies. I'm just managing information. It's called information management. I am giving you an idea of what I want you to, direction I want you to think. All right, can you scan it? It's not there. Have you scanned it? Okay. Have you scanned? So I can say, don't worry, lunch is being served. When Kola was presenting, I think they were moving some food in,
And one aroma just came into the hall, and I saw the mood in the hall just changed. I had to start signaling caller that, hey, dude, these people will drag you. All right, so can we just scan the QR code on the table? Just scan. So there are some instructions that you will get. It will lead you to the menu by the time you get to the end. And trust me, the menu is good. I can smell it already. Okay. All right, so while we do that, I'd like to call on the next presenter. Okay. Who is going to come and tell us some things, some more new stuff. Somebody asked the question during the panel session that what is Interswitch doing to do this, do that, do this, do that, do that. These are some of the things that we're doing to enable the ecosystem. And Sogwe will be coming out to present on payroll management system, which I find as a very interesting product that we have out there for you to also experience. All right, put your hands together for Sogwe. Please put your hands together for Sogwe.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice being here today, and thanks for honoring our invitation. My name is Aswefin Sogwe. I'm a Nigerian, by the way, so you don't need to ask me where I'm from. You've had a list of products today. These products, again, I would like to say that they make us look good on the outside. So whoever is using these products, your customers will see you and say, well, these people are doing good. However, this is the only product that I'm presenting today that makes you look good on the inside. As we are here today, we are either employers of labor or we are employees. So it's important to know how our data is managed within our systems. That is why I'm here to speak on our payroll management solution. So someone will ask me, why payroll? I had a brief discussion with someone who basically ran me through how they manage their payroll data. So today they have the HR management system, which is actually different from the payroll itself. So a payroll officer sits down every month. Now we should understand that the payroll officer's work starts on the first day of the month through when salary will be paid. So all he does is, from the data in the HR management system, he collates the information, and as he goes through the month, for all those that request for leave or every form of remuneration, he adds it to his payroll, then sends it up for payments. So, peradventure, maybe the organization might be using a different solution. So for MFBs, one of the MFBs that are engaged says, oh, they are engaging, that their settlement bank helps them make payments when it comes to payroll. Meaning the officer will collate every information, then pass it to the settlement bank who helps them to make this payment. And I'm wondering, why do you have to do all this? Because if that payroll officer does a mistake, for instance, I earn 200,000, and while he was computing his payroll, he falls asleep, returns back and says, my boss needs these figures immediately. He adds 1 0 to my figure. That's 2 million naira per month for me. I'm enjoying, I'm a big boy. It will only be a good guy that will come back to say, this is what just happened though. How do we need to take this money back? For the man that doesn't care, he just drops his resignation because he knows he needs to work for 10 good months to earn that 2 million. So why don't I leave you alone and go and find better thing to do? Really? So that is why Interswitch, we at Interswitch, we've looked at this solution to say, okay, there's this problem out there that needs to be solved. You don't need to leave your HR system, engage a different system to make payments. That is why we are out here with our payroll management solution. Now, we've provided a suite today that encompasses all these features. So your HR management, your expense management, that's all expense made in the company. Biometrics, all statutory payments, your tax, your pension, as well as your payroll processing, everything is involved in this whole suite. Look into the HR management. It entails the very point of interview of every employee to settlement within the company up until the exits. All that process that's involved is taking notes here. Expense management. How do you buy laptops? How do you pay vendors? Are there different systems that you interact with to do this when you can actually sit on this same solution and make this payment? Biometrics, we all know today that no identical twin have the same identity. That's as at today. Maybe tomorrow morning science will come and tell us what is possible. But as at today, as we speak, no identical twin have the same identity. How do we manage this process? That's what we call the biometric capability. Your pension management, through your lifetime in the company, how is payment made? And down to your payroll. Basic payment of salaries, your leave allowance, and every other allowance that needs to be made. That is what is contained here. For the payment process, we are integrated to one of our disbursement feature, which is auto pay, right? And we have 3 steps in making payments. For smaller companies, it could be configured that one person handles all this process. However, for larger companies, we would not like to put that risk in one man's hand. So one person should be able to raise the information, one person should be able to vet the information, and one person should be able to make such payments. That is what we call the scheduler, approver, and the authorizer process. So there are 3 people in this space that handles this activity. However, it depends on the company size and how they operate. One person can also handle this function. Looking to the benefits, first and foremost, it's a web-based payroll solution, so you don't need any form of installation within your environment. All that is required of you is to have an internet-enabled device, and wherever you are, you can make use of the solution. Double data entry, all the issues we have of ghost worker. Because today I understand that most banks have salaries from other institutions. So maybe universities, governments, parastatals, houses their money within our banks. How do they make this payment? So again, it can be as a value add to each of us here to say, I have this solution you can use. You don't need to be coming to me to do ABC anymore. This is what you can do. We can discuss this part. The seamless process flow, because the very moment, for instance, I want to make an update to my profile. I've gone for my master's degree and I'm back. I need to update it because they say if you've done your master's, you are going to move from level 2 to level 3. Once I update my profile, showing my certificate, there's someone that is going to look at it from the HR's point of view to confirm that, oh, this is genuine. This person is not just joking around. Approves what I've done, and that circle goes. So even if it's in terms of payment or anything we are doing, so even within our circle, we have our appraisals too. This same solution helps handle that process flow. You don't need to leave your solution to have a separate system for appraisals, for promotional management. You don't need to do that. Everything is right here on this system. And here again, you are saving your time in doing other things. This is basically what the system looks like, web view and the mobile view on the other hand. So thanks for listening. I will be stopping here. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions, please.
Thank you, thank you. I think I'll take your question after the next presenter, so we'll take both together. So put your hands together for Sogwe again on your payroll. Okay, so if you have questions, please put it together. We'll take it. Then, okay, so we'll be calling on one. I guess this is the last presentation before we give out the awards. Okay. Okay, so we'll be taking one more presentation, and I think we'll be rounding up for all the presentations for today. Okay, so can you put your hands together for Michael Isere? He's going to come talk to us about one of our industry ecosystem products, or two of our industry ecosystem products. And please remember to take down your questions. Just write it down while he presents. Put it together for Michael.
Thanks, Nkosi. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just quickly rush through. Okay, thank you. I'll just quickly rush through the auto-pay funds disbursement solution we have here at Interswitch. I mean, from the name, disbursement solution, it's a solution that enables corporates, businesses, make funds disbursements to clients, staff, as single payment or bulk payments. So basically today, you would say, what's the difference between what this is and the internet banking you probably have from your bank? But I like to tell people that you have a solution where you are able to have an aggregate of your multiple bank accounts on a single dashboard, and you are able to make transactions from that platform. So what this means for me is, if I were to be a business, or if I were to own a business, and I have 2 or 3 accounts from 3 different banks, right, and I want to make disbursements, either single payments or multiple payments, as it were, that would mean, and it depends on how much I have in each of these accounts, that would mean I have to log in from one internet banking to do transactions here, log out, log into another bank's internet banking to do transactions from there as well. And that's a bit tedious. But we have a solution today that you are able to aggregate all your bank accounts under a single platform. Once you log in, you are able to see a cross-section of all your bank balances across your banks on that same platform, and from there you are able to do your funds transfer. Basically, what the previous presenter has already said is one of the use cases we have for AutoPay. With AutoPay, you are able to make salary disbursements to your staff. It also has the principle of maker checker, where someone is able to initiate a transaction, and then based on your company's rules or transaction process flow, we are able to replicate that on this platform. So take, for instance, you want to have someone who initiates a transaction, which I said can be single transaction or multiple transaction. Multiple in the sense that you want to pay your staff. You have a staff strength of 20 people, 30 people, right? You are able to upload a schedule of your staff, their account numbers, their names, and the amounts that you're paying, and put it into the platform. And with the click of the button, those transactions hit the different beneficiaries online, real time, and as fast as a speeding bullet. So that happens with multiple disbursements when you're doing that on AutoPay. It also is the same for single disbursements as well. Basically, what we do with AutoPay, in as much as it is a web-based platform, right? It can be offered as a standalone product, and it's also very integratable. Integratable in the sense that we have to already have something along their workflow on their ERP, that speaks to their internal processes and maybe how their payroll is managed on their ERP. All they just need is a transfer engine. So we are saying that AutoPay is a product which we can easily integrate into that business or into that corporate's existing ERP, such that all that they do currently today on their existing ERP, they just do it, and then with a click of the button, they are able to transfer an XFTP file from that ERP into the AutoPay engine, and it processes your transaction. So we have it as a standalone if you want to just use it as a platform where you just log into as a web-based platform, or we can also have it where we are able to integrate it successfully to your existing ERP. Basically, this is all I mentioned before. We're able to make salary payments, you're able to have account monitoring dashboard, so you're able to see your transactions across your bank accounts. You're able to use it for pension remittance, supplier payments, government payments, and all of that. It's convenient, right? You have notifications as email and SMSs. You have detailed reporting. That's very key. On the AutoPay platform, you are exposed to a very concise and direct reporting dashboard where you are able to see your transactions, from when you initiated it to when it was approved and to when it was authorized, and then the status of those transactions after you have done them, right? You are able to set up recurring payments. There's an audit trail also existent on the platform. And as well, there's a security feature which involves use of token. So for the authorizer that is going to allow or to commit the funds to leave the account, right, he's enabled with a token beyond just his PIN. So the authorizer is able to impute his PIN and then commits the transaction with a hardware token for that transaction to fly. This is just basically the standard infrastructure, how it works, where either the banks, the MMO, and all of that are able to connect. I'll just rush through all of this because I think our time is fast spent. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. We're able to replicate your existing process flow in your business where there's someone who initiates, it goes to one vetting officer or the other. Maybe you want to have 2 or 3 approving officers, and then it goes to the final authorizer. The final authorizer is the guy that allows funds leave the account. From the point of the initiator to the point of the approving officer, the funds are still within the account until it gets to the final authorizer who commits that transaction, and then the transaction goes. Basically, this is just the flow. Yeah, benefits. I mean, the benefits are far-reaching. There's minimal infrastructure, like I said. It's a web-based platform, right? Guarantees instant credit to beneficiaries, eases the administrative task that staff have to perform to make payments. Seamless integration options, which is what I mentioned earlier. So we're able to integrate it to your existing ERP systems. There's no clearing period as the solution is online and affords real-time payment. It eliminates the need for multiple schedules and checks to be prepared by paying organizations. So you just do all of that on a single dashboard and you are good to go. So in the next 1-2 minutes, I would like to call it, I don't like to refer to it as a solution. I like to refer to it as a system that has been able to aggregate all the different collection options or some of the different collection options that we have at Interswitch today. So today, let's take it as an individual. You want to have one collection option here, one collection product here, one collection of product here. That would necessarily mean that you probably would have to log into this dashboard to see how much you've collected from here, how much you've collected from here, how much you've collected from here. But we are saying that we have developed a system that has been able to aggregate all your different collection points, right? And you are offering your customers, your clients, multiplicity of options to pay to you. And you are able to monitor all of these transactions on the single dashboard. So you are here, right? And I've offered my customers multiplicity of options to pay me from here, pay me from here, pay me from here, pay me from here. And I'm able to see all of these transactions as they are happening online real time from a single dashboard. And what are these collection options that we have? Today we have Quick Teller. I know a lot of us would have heard about Quick Teller. Quick Teller by far is the biggest bill aggregator platform you will find in Nigeria. What we've done in Quick Teller or at Quick Teller is we've been able to aggregate over 8,000 service providers, which we refer to as billers, or or businesses that have 1 or 2 things to offer, and provide that marketplace for people to exchange value. So today I want to make payments for virtually anything. I want to make payments for DSTV, for my electricity, for even donations, whatever it is that you think you want to pay, betting companies and all of that. We've been able to create an ecosystem where we have created categories for the different billers that we have. So today you can come on board on Quick Teller to use Quick Teller as an option to make your payment, your customers pay to you. Now, Quick Teller is also plugged into PayDirect so that at the end of the day, I can log into PayDirect and see transactions that my customers made to me via Quick Teller. Beyond Quick Teller, there is also the bank branch option. So today, if I am also set up as a biller on Quick Teller, I can also be exposed to a collections app on PayDirect that is available at the bank branches. We have been able to build connections and integration across all commercial bank branches in Nigeria and a number of microfinance banks where I can walk into any of these banks to make payments to whatever biller that is listed on the bank branch option, DSTVs and the likes. So what happens is at the end of the day, I'm able to see transactions that came in through the bank branch option still on the same PayDirect dashboard. Beyond that, we still have other collection options, USSD, POS, and even our agency network, which we refer to as Interswitch Financial Inclusion Service. So today we have over 40,000 and more agents scattered across Nigeria today, from which they are all enabled and empowered to take collections on behalf of the billers that we have set up on the Pay Direct system. So what this means for me as a customer is, I want to make payment to a certain biller. I don't have data to access the QuickTeller app. I don't have a bank in my area to walk into to make payment to this biller. However, there is a QuickTeller agent. We refer to them as QuickTeller PayPoint agents. There is a QuickTeller PayPoint agent in my area. I can walk to that QuickTeller PayPoint agent and I'm able to pay whatever it is I want to pay to that same biller. For the biller or the merchant or the business owner, I still see these transactions on a single dashboard, which is the Pay Direct dashboard. So today I log into Pay Direct, I'm able to see people who have paid to me from QuickTeller, people who have paid to me from the bank branch, people who have used USSD option to pay to me, people who have used agency network, and any other collection solutions that we plug into Pay Direct. I'm able to see all of that from a single dashboard. That's just the summary. Today we have over 8,000 billers on QuickTeller, and we have an active marketplace in QuickTeller that encompasses over 2 million active subscribers. What this means for you is you already have, I was telling somebody recently that what's the difference between when you have a shop where you sell phones at your house and when you have that same shop in Computer Village where you sell phones. The biggest difference is, or the big difference is, it is only people who live in your street and people that know you that will patronize the phones that you sell. But everybody knows that if you want to buy phones and all of that, go to Computer Village. So you are being exposed to a large mass of people, a large crowd, a customer base, an existing customer base that flock in and out of Computer Village to buy phones. So there's the high probability that you will be seen, right? Your shop will be seen. People will come and say, okay, how much is this phone and all of that. That is QuickTeller for you. QuickTeller today is that platform that has that high traffic. There are people going in and out to buy or to pay for one thing or the other, and that is how that will make a lot of sense for you on QuickTeller. So I think I'll stop here, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, do we have any questions, please? Questions for both Sogwe and Michael? 2 questions. Do we have questions? Are there questions online? Okay, I guess we don't have questions for now. The online questions will be collected and shared later. Okay. All right, we've gone very well today with time. We've tried to catch up with time, and we'll be going to the next set of events. Please, have you tried to scan the QR code on your tables? We need the feedback from there, and even every information that is required there, just tick and let us know how it's going. Also, we'll be going into the awards presentation now. Dio? Are we ready? We're ready? Okay, so we'll be going to the presentation of awards. Now, these awards is to recognize some specific partners that has been, that we've worked with for the period. It's not to say we are doing some with some people and not with some people. There are certain criteria that was for this particular category of people that we're sharing these awards with. And I'm sure by the time we call their names and you see the people who we're sharing these awards with, you would have a clue of what it's about. Thank you. Okay, I see. So I'd like to call on Sarah Mome for the presentation of these awards. She would explain the criteria for these particular awards that we're sharing. Put your hands together for Sarah Mome as she comes forward. And also put your hands together for Dio as he comes forward to present these awards. Sarah.
No, I typed it to you.
outstanding.
Okay, thank you everyone for staying with us. So apologies, we actually overran with time, in terms of time. Last year when we started this regional breakfast meeting, we decided to at least appreciate our customers' contribution by giving an award. What we have done is to sustain that award as part of the event. Really, the criteria, this is just to appreciate people for their consistency and for outstanding performance. So today we'll showcase a number of solutions and all. So as you get on board and do more transactions, you would definitely maybe be called upon if you're not called today. So I would call my colleagues to help me present these awards. So.
Okay, so should I just call out the names of the awardees and you present?
Yes, one after
the other.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so first
So
on
in no
this
particular
list,
order.
yes, in no particular order. I'm repeating, no particular order. So the first on the list is Team Apps Limited. Do we have representatives from Team Apps here? Put your hands together for Team App Limited. Any representative from Team Apps? Anybody can take it for. Okay. All right, so on behalf of Team Apps, I'll call on Choose Your Room to come pick up the award for Team Apps. Put your hands together for Choose Your Room as it comes forward. keep it coming, keep it going, keep it going. I mean, we're celebrating people who have been consistent. All right. Choose Your Room. Okay. All right, pose for pictures. I will send this to Team Apps on behalf of Team Apps again. Saying thank you to Team Apps for being consistent. Thank you very much. Last on the list would be OPay. OPay. Put your hands together for OPay. All right, so for representing OPay, can Ekechi come forward for it? Thank you very much. Put your hands together for OPay. All right, so for the next award goes to Number. Please put your hands together for Number. Number, I can see you where you are. Can you guys please come? Team Google. Keep it coming. Put your hands together for Number. Congratulations. Now this is good. Yeah, this is good. This is a good turnout. Please celebrate Number. All right, thank you very much, Number. For next on the list, Paystack. Paystack. Okay. Can Paystack come forward for the award, please? Please, can Tiro also come and represent Paystack? Please put your hands together for Paystack. It's like this clapping is going lower and lower and lower. In fact, we should start watching. Whichever table does not clap will not be given the code for lunch. Was that part of it? All right, thank you very much. Okay, put your hands together for PalmPay. For PalmPay. Okay, can Emmanuel come and take the award for PalmPay? The account officer should have been here. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so next is Dot Microfinance Bank. Dot Microfinance Bank. Maybe these guys are busy. Okay. Please, can Sandra come forward to take the award for Dot Microfinance Bank? All right, Sandra, let's have you. While we're waiting for Dot Microfinance Bank, can Action also prepare? Please, just keep your hands. Let's celebrate these. What's going on? Okay. All right. For Action Microfinance Bank, are they here? Neptune Microfinance Bank. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Also, put your hands together for VFD Microfinance Bank. Just put your hands together for VFD. All right, all right. And guess what? They were one of the first to get to the venue today. So let's celebrate VFD once again. Let's celebrate them properly. Thank you very much. All right, Spectrum Microfinance Bank. Spectrum. Okay. Then we have one more. So who's taking for Spectrum? Can Wally come take it for Spectrum? Wale. Then there's one more. So there's one more, and it's not the best for last, and we're not saving the last or the least. Put your hands together for Tennessee Professional Services. Tennessee Professional Services. Please, can Toby come pick it up for them? It's Toby here. All right, so that comes to the end of the award presentation. Now, there's something I want to quickly do. Okay, I want to quickly really appreciate everyone for coming for this event. Every single one of you for coming. There's so many people in this place. Detalium, Radar, First Trust Mortgage Bank, Mediacraft, Angala, Gems Gifting, Incash, SunTrust Bank, VFD, BizWatch Nigeria, Jubilee Life Mortgage Bank, Newpad, Lasego, Lumi Closet, Victoros Solake, Kramer Consults, Smart Cash, Number, Flutterwave, Newton, Classy Empire, Number, FCMB, Personal Trusts, First Trust Mortgage Bank, iTex, Zeddy, was it ZI, Puka, iTex, Prune Edge, FlexiSafe, Longreach, The Sun, Neptune, Microfinance Bank, eTransact, The Guardian newspaper, Number, Our Cash, VBank, WheatKits, USL, Wimmer Bank, New Telegram newspaper, Neptune again, Neptune Software, Keystone Bank, FETS, FETS, as Inlax, Heritage Bank, Gemstone. These are just a few that I could quickly pick out. OPay, Money, Royals, Saturnia, Personal Trust. Pretty much everyone that's here, I want to say a very big thank you for coming out and coming for this event. There's something I was planning to read out to you earlier, and that says, welcome to December, the crowning of the year. It's been an incredible year with you, and we are grateful for the journey and support so far. We're very excited as Interswitch to be collaborators with all of you, partnering with all of you to even deliver and improve what is going on within our ecosystem. We're very glad and we're happy that you're here. I'm very excited to engage each and every one of you from time to time, even on the services we're offering. However, I'm not giving the closing remarks, so I'm not closing this event. I'll be calling on one of us at Interswitch, one of the business heads, the group head of our ILS, that's Interswitch Lending Services and Value Financing, Innocent Itobere. Please put your hands together for him while he comes forward to give the closing remarks. But we are very, very excited. Clap, go ahead and put your hands together. We're very, very excited that you even stayed for this event this long while we try to keep up with time and catch up with everything going on. Put your hands together for Innocent.
Thank you so very much. I am the guy who brings in the good tidings. So we are officially bringing this to a closure. But I would like to say a big thank you to everyone. I have been blessed today, let me use that word, because the session has been quite informative, from the brilliant talk show to the series of presentation. I mean, if you really enjoyed and you picked something out of what has been presented today, please can we give them a big round of applause? So I'm sure we have identified new ways to collaborate, to win together, and make sure that we move Africa forward. So on behalf of the Interswitch management, I would like to say a big thank you for the time, for the contributions, for everyone who has honored our invitation. We are honored, and we believe that we would move Africa forward together. Just to mention, I know Nicosin has actually talked around this severally. Lunch is served. So as soon as we wrap up this now, we would appreciate if you march to the rear of the hall and please engage. And don't forget to also get to meet someone, collaborate, know someone. A lot could start from here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Let me tell you a story. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands. a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chime, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at Interswitch, we never stop. So you don't stop.